Well, I'm going to be honest. I'm kind of glad that happened because just as everybody started complaining that they couldn't see the stream, I ended up choking. So that would have been embarrassing. In fact, I could have just not even mentioned that, to be honest, and no one would have known. But I'm just too much of an honest guy, I guess. So there you go. But apparently we're back on. VOD watchers, if you're wondering why there's a weird start to this stream, basically EU Twitch servers were kind of down. The only thing that was working in the chat, the only thing that was working was the chat. It's kind of like taken 26 minutes to start the stream. So yeah, I stopped recording the VOD, and now here we are. Anyway, welcome everybody. It's good to see you all. I wonder if everyone who was here at the start is still here. If not, no worries. I completely understand. But we got Catgirl Steph. Hello. We got Hell to Pay. Hello, hello, hello. How are you all doing? We got Femboy Echo. We got Sorka Sublime. We also got Vordrella. And we got 9,000 Rats. We got Pat Potato. Hello, 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 everyone. It's good to see all of you. I hope that you're all having a good day. And you are living it to the best of your ability. That's what I hope. We got Nada161 as well. Hello, Nada. Good to see you. Yeah, got a lot of stuff that I want to cover today. And the stream kind of taking a little bit longer to get going means that I kind of just got to get straight in it. I can't really talk to you about my day. It's not been that interesting anyway. All I've really done is have a big lie in and did some editing on the new Patreon exclusive video. It's so very close to being done. So very close to being done. I have a feeling I'm going to get it done tomorrow. So yeah. Crystal, welcome in. Welcome in. It's good to see you. Yeah, drive safe. Make sure you're not watching the stream and only listening when you're driving. But yeah, I got a lot of stuff that I want to cover. I kind of want to make a TikTok or two out of this stream because there are some current event things that I want to basically cover and get out there because those kinds of things do really well on TikTok. My TikTok the other day, it's broke 100 likes, which is amazing. Thank you so much everybody for helping with that. It's been really, really cool to see a bunch of people from the Twitch chat actually follow me on TikTok, which is cool. Yeah, I am going to be doing more and more TikTok as the months go on. So make sure you follow me on there if you're not already. It's good. Sometimes wholesome stuff. I'm thinking about maybe doing some plant updates, but I've not decided if I want to make that exclusive Patreon content. I don't really know. But there's also going to be a new YouTube channel that I'm going to be using, which is going to be the Twitch Clips channel. So as soon as I've made the first Twitch clip video, which I think is going to be a longer version of the... Well, actually, it won't be a longer version. It will probably just be the exact same amount of time version of the video on the pronouns guy, because you just can't make shorts that are longer than a minute on YouTube, which is quite funny. They kind of fucked themselves over in that regard, you know, if they're excluding longer than 1 minute videos from the shorts feed. Very funny. Anyway, whatever. That is what's going to be going down. But speaking of YouTube, we're going to get straight into this. We're going to get straight into the politics bit, but I want to talk about YouTube. I want to talk about YouTube's new ad policy. It's very awful. It's very rubbish. And it's not good. It's not clever. And I'm going to be just covering a tiny, tiny bit of it. I think the music might be a bit too loud. Hold up. But essentially, what they've decided to do, you can see here on this image. I wonder if I can just open the image, make it a bit bigger for everybody. There you go. So I got this email the other day. You will have seen a bunch of other content creators talking about this. It's absolutely fucking ridiculous. It says, "Hi djmuel, later this year we'll be updating ad controls in YouTube Studio to extend best practices and optimize creator earnings." They are seriously trying my patience with that kind of language. Optimize creator earnings, my ass. So what they say is that starting in November, they're going to optimize creator revenue and take the guesswork out of which ad formats to use by removing individual ad controls. That's great, isn't it? Everybody loves that. Everybody loves it when, you know, creators who have previously said, you know, my content is ad-free, please just support me on Patreon, are now going to have to change their entire thing. Their entire thing. And, you know, they kind of address this. They say this change will only apply to new uploads. All previously uploaded videos will retain their existing ad format. But it's just completely fucked. So I did a little statement about this on my posts feed, on my community tab feed. And I basically just said, so yeah, like most of the creators on this platform, I'm extremely annoyed with YouTube's new ad policy, making it so that we can't control ads on our own video. And if I hadn't made it clear already, I would much prefer you to use ad blocker and join my Patreon at the lowest tier, which is only £2/$2 or the local equivalent. Most of you know that creators hardly get any dough from AdSense anyway, which really makes me fucking annoyed that they're using this language of like optimizing creator ad revenue, because it's like, dude, we get fuck all from ads. We get fuck all from ads. At least you can still turn ads off entirely, though. Oh, is that true? Is that actually true? Hang on a minute. Creators will also continue to have full control over mid-roll ad placements and to whether to turn these ads on or off. Okay. Doesn't that kill your vid in the algorithm? Oh, is that why I'm not doing too well? Because I don't have ads on my videos. Oh, okay. It says this applies when the creator turns ads on. Well, anyway, here's the thing. Even if this isn't going to affect me directly, which I thought it did, right? Which I thought it did. But even if it doesn't affect me directly, this is still like really annoying anyway. It's still really annoying. It's still really bad. It affects all kinds of creators who do put ads on their content. And, well, I did a little bit of research to talk about why this is so bad and such a kick in the teeth to creators, right? So they're clearly doing this to increase profit margin. That's the only reason for it. The only reason for it is so that they can increase profit margin. Now, that might leave you thinking, hang on a minute, Donkus Jonkus, does that mean that YouTube is not that profitable? Well, dear viewer, let me tell you, because I did, like I said, a little bit of research, and I could tell you right now that YouTube brought in last year $29.2 billion. And you might be aware that $29.2 billion is a bit much. You know, it's quite a lot. It's quite a lot in order to sort of like cover costs. So you might be asking yourself, what is YouTube's profit margin? Well, you can find that out quite easily, can't you? Just Google it. And according to Howie Mann, YouTube has an estimated gross profit margin of 38%. 38%. That means that YouTube's profits are roughly $12 billion. So, in short, they don't need to do this. It's completely not even fucking necessary, right? Not even fucking necessary, yeah? And then when you take into consideration these other parts of the YouTube sort of, you know, how it all works and everything like that, you've only got to look at the new CEO, Neil Mohan's salary to get even more annoyed, right? Because Neil Mohan is one of, I think, 13 directors of YouTube itself. I think YouTube has got somewhere in the region of like 10 or 13, maybe 14 directors, and that's not even mentioning... sorry, I think I'm talking board of executives here, not directors. That's not even mentioning directors. Those are the people on the board of executives. So, Neil Mohan makes around... Oh, hang on a minute. This was Susan Wojcicki's salary. Oh, but here we go. Neil is expected to receive at least $374,000, which is the same as Susan Wojcicki's. And again, you want to times that by about 10, because there's another load of directors and executives on top of that, right? So maybe it's even times fucking 20. Just an absolutely awful decision. It's going to be to do with Google. It really is. You're right, Sorka. It's going to be to do with like Google basically saying that, we've got shareholders. We need to increase the share prices. The only way to do that is to increase profits. So how do we increase profits? Force people to have like certain ads in certain ways on their channel. So it's really, really, really fucked. Really, really, really annoying. Pat Potato says, I read optimize earnings from creators. That's definitely what they're actually saying. Yeah, so this kind of sucks. So I just kind of wanted to talk about that real quick. That's really fucking annoying. I think it sucks. I think it's going to really fuck up people's videos. It's going to fuck up their revenue. Because I don't know about you, chat, but the adverts on YouTube got so bad recently for me that I just ended up buying YouTube Premium, right? And that's what they want you to do. That's what they fucking want you to do. They want to take control of your entire AdSense and your entire, capability of what kind of ads are on your platform. Sorry, what kind of ads are on your... Well, it is your platform. What kind of ads are on your videos so that they can, like, maximize profit and even probably make your videos more annoying in terms of ads so that more people will buy YouTube Premium. That's what it's going to be. It's going to be related to that. So really annoying shit. That's that. You know what I mean? I would say, as I said earlier, get ad block, support me on Patreon. I'm still going to keep my videos ad-free for as long as they keep us... I'm still going to keep my videos ad-free for as long as they let us do that for. So don't worry about it. That's that. But yeah, anyway, just wanted to cover that real quick. Mr. Fishy, how's it going? Welcome in. But the big story at the moment in leftist news in general, I want to talk about this. It's Cop City. Hey Zadaz, how you doing? Welcome in. So Cop City, you might have heard recently some real bad shit about Cop City's protesters. There's a lot of horrible stuff happening to them in terms of police oppression, violent police brutality. So obviously content warning for state violence here. It's going down. Great account on Blue Sky on Twitter. Make sure you follow him if you aren't already. This morning in Atlanta, 5 people, including faith leaders and community members, chained themselves to equipment at Cop City construction site. There's a war happening against protesters. If we don't stand up for our right to protest now, standing up in the future will be in vain. So you might be asking yourself, okay, why have they said that? And that is because there have been at least 61, I think 61 is the number that we have confirmed, activists. They are simply environmental activists. They're non-violent. They simply want to stop Cop City from being created. If you're not sure what Cop City is, they're basically demolishing a bunch of forest in Atlanta that is... It's nature, they're doing this in the middle of a climate catastrophe. That's one of the terrible things. The other terrible thing is the thing that they're building is a huge cop training ground where they will specifically learn how to arrest and suppress protesters. That's literally what it's for. They're building a mini city so that they can practice their effectiveness in urban combat. That's all it is. That's all it fucking is. And it's vile, it's gross, fuck cops, and fuck the destruction of the forest, right? It's a pretty standard, easy thing to get behind. So we got a Democracy Now! Piece on this. So we're going to watch this. We're going to react to it. We're going to see what some people who are there on the ground are talking about, how they're dealing with it and shit like that. Let's tune right in, and I'll give you a link to the video. Of course, as always, support our lefty content creator friends. Support Democracy Now! There's a link to the video in the chat. If you haven't already, subscribe, like, comment, watch the video in a muted tab alongside the stream. But let's hear what they got to say. Let's hear what they got to say about Cop City.
Georgia. where the state's Republican Attorney General has announced a sweeping new RICO indictment against 61 activists and others he accuses of being part of a, quote, criminal enterprise to stop Cop City, a massive...
So what you might be wondering, hang on a minute, Trump was indicted on RICO charges. What's that about? So basically RICO is not just like racketeering, it's quote unquote corrupt organizations. So that's what the CO stands for in RICO. And you know, they're trying to claim that activists are part of this corrupt organization. Obviously, there are like people who aren't in organizations at the Cop City protests. So it's going to be hard to convince people or juries or judges that they actually are in organizations that are corrupt. They're just individuals who are acting on their own ideological ground. It's also a great example as to why... what is it called? Affinity groups. Affinity groups is a great way to basically do activism nowadays. And of course, there is strength in numbers. Of course, there's strength in unionizing and all that kind of stuff. But affinity groups is basically groups who are not really a registered organization. Like they don't have a website. They don't do anything like that. They're just a group of people who get together to go, we're going to protest this because we just don't like it. And we agree with the people who are already protesting it. It also means that you can't get, like, you know, have horrible shit like this happen to you, where you basically just, like, all of a sudden, one day, the state fucking clamps down and says, yeah, we're just going to put you in jail because you are, you know, doing your First Amendment rights in a way that we don't like, yeah? So it's going to be interesting. We're going to have a look at the proceeds for this, like how this goes forward, because they're going to have to try and figure out how this doesn't, I don't know, how this isn't connected to their First Amendment rights, because I feel like the Constitution will emancipate them from these charges, because they're just doing protests. They're not actually like doing any racketeering. There's no corruption within their ranks. It's a really fucked state overreach load of bullshit, right?
$90 million police training complex that's facing widespread opposition and ongoing protests. The charges were brought in Fulton County and approved by the same grand jury that indicted former President Donald Trump and 18 of his associates on RICO, or racketeering charges, brought by Fulton County District Attorney Fani Willis, who is a Democrat. At a news conference Tuesday, Georgia Attorney General Chris Carr and John Fowler, head of Georgia's prosecution division, laid out their allegations and why they brought the case in Fulton County.
And I bet they're fucking... Well, you know what? I shouldn't say it, really, should I? I shouldn't say I bet they're Republicans. Because Democrats could just as easily be pieces of shit like this to protesters. You know? Oh my goodness, Catgirl Steph says, having a fully homegrown dinner with potatoes, carrots in the air fryer, and my first tomato. Oh my god, Steph. That sounds so delightful. I hope you enjoy it. Enjoy the fruits of your labor and Mother Nature. Obviously, the problem is that if a constitutional argument is made, it could go all the way to the currently fucked Supreme Court. Yeah. I mean, I think that it would get a lot more... It would probably get a lot more press if that happened. I don't think they want it to go to Supreme Court. Because this isn't like the Trump indictment. This is like not going to be in mainstream news. You know? Unless I'm wrong. If it is in mainstream news and we've got like CNN and ABC like calling these protesters terrorists and shit. Oh boy, that's next level.
As alleged in the indictment, the defendants are members of Defend the Atlanta Forest, an anarchist, anti-police, and anti-business extremist organization. We contend
not that extreme, not gonna lie.
And the 61 defendants together have conspired to prevent the construction of the Atlanta Public Safety Training Center by conducting, coordinating, and organizing acts of violence, intimidation, and property destruction.
This is all the same shit that they said about Tortuguita. You know, the person who was literally shot in their tent by police, claiming that they were like violent and all that kind of stuff. It's just nonsense. They're just making it up. Pretty sure it is in mainstream news that way. It's been a minute since I watched mainstream news, though. Oh, my goodness. Anyway, hello, Gobs. Everybody go follow Gobs. They're amazing. Oh, I just literally wrote Gobs in the chat as if that's going to lead you to the right the right Twitch account. So the premise here is that being organized activists is now explicitly illegal. I love definitely un-fascist democracy, right? It's just so awful.
Why Fulton County and not DeKalb County? Georgia racketeering law allows that, and we availed ourselves of the Georgia racketeering law to do that. Anywhere that a predicate act.
So it looks like they're on Fox News, AWF, whatever that is. And what's that? Channel 2? Is that like a state local TV station or something?
Or an overt act in furtherance of a conspiracy occurred in any county where that occurred is where you can indict the case, and we chose Fulton County. When you allege a conspiracy to commit racketeering, there's no requirement under Georgia law that they know each other.
But what racketeering is going on? Yeah, he literally just said they have an organization and the left is so prison. Yeah, wait until you see some other of this stuff. Wait until you see some more of this stuff, Sorka. Wait until you see some more of this stuff, because this isn't even it. This isn't even as brazen as they are getting. Wait until you see some of the stuff that's in the written reports.
The purpose of the Georgia racketeering law is that they're all working in some way, shape, or form towards the same goal, and they formed a conspiracy to do that. That doesn't necessarily mean that every person has to talk to every single person. All you have to do is commit one overt act in furtherance of the conspiracy with the others, and then you can be guilty of racketeering.
So he's also being quite brazen here as well, in terms of how he's saying, yeah, we're basically just like, I don't know, mangling the actual definition of the law and abusing that so that we can put these people in prison, despite the fact that they're just exercising their First Amendment rights and protesting something. You know, it's absolutely awful. Absolutely awful.
That's why, is because it's a large case, and so if you want to tie everybody together and they're all trying to do the same thing, racketeering is the appropriate charge.
In addition to the 61 racketeering indictments, 5 people were also indicted on domestic terrorism and first-degree arson charges. 3 people with the Atlanta Solidarity Fund were each indicted on 15 counts of money laundering for their work to provide bail money and legal aid for protesters.
Yeah, they're literally doing this to people who have been involved with the Atlanta Solidarity Fund. This is in no way the same as racketeering. Do you know what I mean? It's just vile state overreach of power. And Sleepy Time Queer, welcome in. You are absolutely right. This is more of a how-to for other bodies of government to copy in their own areas. 1,000%. 1,000%.
Indictment was issued on September 5th and filed August 29th. The indictment alleges the protests included violent anti-police sentiment that's now one of the, quote, core driving motives of protests to stop Cop City. For more, we go to Atlanta, where we're joined by Kiana Jones, a Stop Cop City organizer for Community Movement Builders, and Devin Franklin, a movement policy counsel at the Southern Center for Human Rights. He worked over a decade as a public defender in Atlanta. His group has issued a call for lawyers to represent the 61 people now facing RICO charges.
Oh, yeah.
We welcome you both to Democracy Now! These are late-breaking developments. Devin, let's begin with you. Can you explain what happened? Can you explain these RICO charges against 61 activists from the same Fulton County grand jury that approved the RICO charges against President Trump? But this was all led by the Republican Attorney General. Almost looks like a response to what Fani Willis did with the...
That's what I was thinking. I was thinking exactly what Amy was thinking. This is a revenge indictment. This is like, oh, you want to go for our boy? All right, well, we'll go for your people. Vile, absolutely vile.
Grand jury against President Trump and others.
Good morning. Yes, it certainly is a response, but I would argue that it is a response to the larger movement that has been
And as well, I think Devin Franklin is going to mention this as well, but it's going to be also a revenge for the January 6th conspirators being put away, right? It's gotta be. It's fucking gotta be.
As it pertains to several matters of police violence and government prejudice. It's just a lot going on. And I think that the state has shown that they don't have a meaningful way to respond to what the people are showing that they want. And they are choosing to use the legal process in a essentially violent way to target protesters.
And could you talk about the indictment itself, some of the main aspects of it, Devin Franklin, and the number of people is extraordinary that are charged?
Yeah, it's really rare for this number of people to be included on an indictment. In my 12 years as a public defender in Fulton County, I never had a case that was this large or witnessed a case that was this large. I think that when we look at the number of people that were accused and we look at the allegations that are included in the indictment, what we see are a wide variety of activities that are lawful, that are being deemed to be criminal. And that includes things such as passing out flyers, right? A really clear example of First Amendment, the exercise of First Amendment.
So I want to just point this stuff out. I don't know if they're going to talk about this stuff that's scrolling past the screen right now. But I have a better quality version of this from Blue Sky. Someone who was reporting on this on Blue Sky. But basically, they have used this text in the indictment, right? Strap yourselves in, gang. Mutual aid is a term popularized by anarchists to describe individuals who exchange goods and services to assist other individuals in society without government intervention. Closely related to collectivism, mutual aid is not a new term, nor is it limited to anarchy. However, the major factor in anarchist mutual aid is the absence of government and the absence of hierarchy. Indeed, an anarchist belief relies on the notion that once government is abolished, individuals will rely on mutual aid to exist. In doing so, anarchists believe that individuals will work together and voluntarily contribute their own resource to ensure that each individual has its own needs met. So you might be thinking, Mule, why are you just reading me a definition of what mutual aid is? Well, because this isn't from a piece of text that is describing what mutual aid is. This is from the charges. This is like what they wrote in the report to say why these people are bad and breaking the law. They are literally talking about some of the most based anarchist, communist belief, yeah, that is mutual aid, and they're saying this is why we need to arrest these people. It doesn't get much more overt than that. It doesn't get much more overt than that, does it? And going on from this, it says, social solidarity is another term that is embraced by anarchists that is tied closely to mutual aid and collectivism. Social solidarity is the idea that individuals can live together without government and provide for each other. The notion of social solidarity relies heavily on the idea of human altruism. That is, individuals will voluntarily offer goods, services, and resources without anything compelling it. Anarchists often shorten the term social solidarity simply into the term solidarity, and is frequently woven into speeches, statements, etc. They are going to try and make solidarity and mutual aid trigger words for terrorist activity. That's what they're doing. Hey Zed Dow, how you doing? Yeah, land of the fucking free. Land of the fucking free right here. It's vile. It's absolutely vile. Soka it says, this shit combined with the Project 25 actual fascist conspiracy are beginning to make me real freaked out for Americans' futures. I think we're coming up on a Red Scare 2.0 if this is allowed to continue. I mean, it's already happening. You know, I understand what you're saying. Like, you feel like this is like something that's going to come and get worse. Yeah, it's definitely going to get worse. But let's face it, it's already been happening. You know, like there was an anarchist that was arrested. Like, I can't remember what it was. It was like a few. Fuck me. It was after Kyle Rittenhouse shot people at a Black Lives Matter protest, and the anarchist only tweeted that, like, we should go to, gun clubs. We should start leftist gun clubs because, They're just going to start shooting us. They're just going to start fucking shooting us soon, and we're going to have to learn to defend ourselves. And they just put him in jail for that. I think he's thankfully been released now, but yeah, just put people in prison for tweeting stuff. You know, just put people in prison for tweeting stuff. Just put people in prison for doing mutual aid and solidarity. It's fucked. This is a war 1,000% on like actual activism. You know, and it's going to be interesting to see how it goes, because I'm not going to lie, chat. Tensions are getting high as fuck in America right now. And I know that there are a bunch of leftist gun clubs already. It's horrible. Like, I think there's going to be, again, like, this is me again saying, like, I think it's going to be a civil war. I think there's going to be, like, a point where, like, the stochastic terrorists of right-wing nationalists, right-wing conservatives, QAnon supporters, Trump supporters, all that stuff, they're going to turn into a, like, militia force even more. Do you know what I mean? Than they already have been over, like, the last few years. And it's just going to explode into... You know, they're gonna end up going to like all these different counties, and all these like talking head Republicans, these conservatives like Ben Shapiro and Tim fucking Poole. They're gonna be like, well, they are asking for it. We told them not to do this stuff, and they are asking for it. What can they expect? You know. So I can't send enough love to Americans right now, to any of my comrades over in America, because. Yeah, shit's getting horrible. I actually know someone who lived in America for a while and then moved back here, and she told me that like the fucking vibe in America is just so cursed at the minute. It's so bad. Everybody is like shitting themselves all the time. I don't know how people can live like that. It's awful. It's actually awful. People are just like terrified that there's gonna be like another fucking Nazi guy just like, you know, shooting people, innit? Vile. Take the L. Yeah, you see, this is exactly it. This is exactly it. Guy in my chat saying take the L. Like, they are like desperate to get a revenge for the indictment of the Proud Boys, the indictment of Donald Trump. I mean, you know, the only L that I'll be taking is my long shaft into your dad's arse, like I do every night. So, you know, that's that. Now you can't chat in the Twitch chat, can you? Can you take that L? I wonder if you can. So, you know, it's literally like, this is how it's gonna go. And it's horrible. Welcome Stranded on Earth anyway. Welcome to the stream. Yeah, it's the woke scare. Yeah, I agree. I fully agree. Right-wingers are out. Oh, hi, Mr. Dank. Right-wingers are out there writing manifestos outlining how they intend to violently seize control of the government in the event that they lose the next election and nobody does anything about it. Right. The modern reactionary conservative platform emotionally exists wholly in the realm of petty tit-for-tat hunting lib-tears. Yeah, absolutely. And hello, overzealous euthanasia. Welcome to the stream. Good to see you. So that's what we got going on.
First Amendment rights. We see that...
it's also really funny that like right-wingers are like, take the L. It's like, bro, as a leftist, every day is an L. Like, you know that, right? Like, do you know that? Like, we hear all the terrible things that the people who you, like, suck the dicks of in government do to our friends, our comrades all the time. And, yeah, of course, those are L's. We are, like, experts at taking L's, you know, and you get fucking mad and piss yourselves when there's, like, pronouns in a game. So, I don't know, you know, out here saying take the L. Like, yeah, okay, dude, yeah, I'm terrible at taking L's. I'm so triggered right now. I'm, like, really, really, really losing my shit. Do you know what I mean? Whereas in actual fact, like, I do this, I do my job, I partake in activism, I grow my little plants, and I have a lovely time in my life, right? Fucking hell. Funny as shit, dude.
Organizations that were bailing people out for protests or conducting business in otherwise lawful manners have been deemed to be part of some obvious,
for real, Gobs.
Infrastructure.
Hey, Sploot Newt, how's it going?
Not accurate. This is really clearly a political prosecution, and yeah.
And how does it turn out that the same grand jury that indicted Trump and his associates was the grand jury on this particular case?
It appears to be so from the limited information that I've been given, and it could simply be a matter of timing. It could have been something that was organized by DA Fonnie Willis and AG Chris Carr. There's no way to know for certain, but what we do know is that for some point in time, for a period of time rather, the Attorney General of the state of Georgia, the governor of the state of Georgia, Brian Kemp, have both expressed discontent with the success that has been gained by the Stop Cop City movement and the momentum that has been created in the streets among the people, and that they have chosen to use those things which they have at their access, at their disposal, to essentially attempt to criminalize otherwise lawful activity.
Devin Franklin, what's interesting is that the DeKalb County's top prosecutor, the DA, announced she is stepping away from every case involving Atlanta's public safety training center, Cop City. DeKalb County.
Whoa, hang on. Who? Oh, DeKalb County's top prosecutor.
The DA announced she is stepping away from every case involving Atlanta's public safety training center, Cop City. DeKalb County District Attorney Sherry Boston announced she is out. She will not support these charges going forward. Your response to this?
I think it's telling. I think it's really telling because the DeKalb County prosecutor has, a pretty good reputation in the legal community. And for her to take a look at the actions that the Attorney General was seeking to go forward with in her county, and for her to say, I don't want any parts of it. I have concerns about the legitimacy of these charges. I have concerns about the intent of the charges that the prosecutor, Attorney General Chris Carr, is seeking. I think that it is kind of a unique way of saying the quiet part out loud, which is something is not right. Something doesn't smell right with this entire situation, and I want no parts of it. And I think that will bear out as we get deeper into the discovery that is to follow the indictment.
And very quickly, before we go to Kiana Jones, your own center, the Southern Center for Human Rights, has it been named in any way in this? You have called for lawyers around the country to come help represent the protesters, but you yourself are a lawyer and you're a former public defender.
Correct. Yeah. In no way that I'm aware that we have been named in anything. We are essentially just trying to make sure that persons who are brought within the arms of the legal system have access to counsel. That's a constitutional right. And there is nothing unlawful about ensuring that people have fair, accurate, zealous representation when they're taking on a system such as what the state of Georgia is being at this point in time.
I'd like to bring Kiana Jones into the conversation, an organizer against Cop City. Welcome to Democracy
Let's go,
Now!
Kiana.
Your response to these indictments.
Thank you for having me. My response to these indictments is just the same as Devin's. We know that this is retaliation for anyone who seeks to oppose the government here in Georgia. A very clear message was sent with this particular RICO indictment. We see that the date on this indictment reads May 25th, 2020, the date that George Floyd was murdered, the date that people all across this country—
No! You are joking. Hold up.
That the date on this indictment reads May 25th, 2020, the date that George Floyd was murdered.
You have to be fucking kidding me, dude. These fuckers are sick. Sick cunts. What the fuck?
The date that people all across this country stood up and said that enough is enough. We won't stand for police terror, excessive violence and brutality, and the senseless.
It just all links together, innit? It just all fucking links together. Cops fucking sucking each other's dicks. Huge circle jerk. You know what I mean? Or you want to stop Cop City? We will make this the most offensive indictment in the history of, well, not in the history. That's actually downplaying a lot of the awful stuff that fucking happened in the history of the United States. But, you know what I mean? In recent history, Fuck cops.
Killings of innocent black people around this country. Since that date,
Put it in the
this
chat.
country has been upended by governments across the nation trying to build cop cities in order to quell protests because the government is simply upset that people seek to oppose and use their First Amendment right to protest when we see injustice coming from those in authority.
That's what it is.
And can you talk about
Hey, Johnny.
examples of the charges? For example, handing out flyers, Kiana.
Oh boy.
Yes, people were indicted for handing out flyers.
She's even smiling when they're talking about this. She's like, everybody knows how ridiculous this is. Like, imagine being an activist for like most of your life and then hearing that like some of your comrades are being charged for handing out flyers.
What those flyers contained, first of all, messages that say Stop Cop City, messages that give details about what Cop City truly is, that it is not just a public safety training facility, that it is actually a militarized training facility that would destroy 381 acres of forest land in a black neighborhood where the city of Atlanta essentially had no jurisdiction in DeKalb County, but somehow backroom deals were made and laws were broken in order to acquire the land.
The thing is that there will be white liberals who are silent on this particular issue because they think it won't affect them because they got that racism. You know what I mean? They got that racist conditioning where they just simply will not think about how things are going to affect people of color all over the US. But what they don't realize, and also what the conservatives and even the fascists who think that they're going to be like, you know, safe from any kind of police activity, what they don't realize is that this isn't just going to be used to quell protests. This isn't just going to be used to like arrest quote unquote state terrorists, aka activists. Like, this is going to be used against everybody. Like, the police is the arm of the state. Yeah. At some point in the future, the material conditions under capitalism will get so bad that working class uprisings are the only fucking solution. Right? The only fucking solution. They will simply happen. It's called revolutionary optimism. It's based in actual science and material analysis. And if you think for a second that isn't going to affect you, it's not even going to be remotely related to you, you're an idiot. You're an idiot. You're not thinking of the bigger picture. Like, do you know what I mean? Even if you are going to be racist and selfish, you're not even thinking about yourself, actually. You're living in a fucking clown world, a dream world that doesn't exist. Do you know what I mean? Fuck me.
Some of the flyers actually named the murderers of Manuel Esteban Paez Terán, known as Tortuguita. There is nothing that is wrong with giving information. So information that was obtained through public record that said, hey, there was a protester that was killed for sitting with their hands up. These are the perpetrators. We need justice.
Damn.
We want
Wonder why they wanted
justice.
to stop those flyers being handed out.
I don't understand how giving out flyers with information is domestic terrorism. I don't understand how holding a sign that says Stop Cop City is domestic terrorism. I don't understand how opposing the
Jamie,
government,
Gamer, good to see you.
Using your legal right to protest, your right to freedom of speech is domestic terrorism. And I certainly don't understand how attending a music festival is domestic terrorism.
Oh yeah, for sure. That one as well.
Kiana, what about this issue of the campaign for a ballot referendum against Cop City? The impact of something like these indictments on potential voters?
Oh, absolutely. This is the state's last desperate attempt to shut down the ballot referendum.
Yeah.
We have been back and forth in court with Mayor Dickens and the city of Atlanta, also the state of Georgia, about the validity of this ballot referendum, which we know we have the right to under the Georgia Constitution, the same way Attorney General Carr went to the laws of the state of Georgia to throw together this RICO indictment. We searched the laws of the state of Georgia and the Georgia State Constitution, and we know that we have a legal right to this ballot referendum. But instead, Attorney General Carr, Mayor Andre Dickens of the city of Atlanta have tried to tie us up in court to invalidate not only this referendum, but all referenda going forward, which is a very dangerous precedent that would be set, because what it says essentially is that if you don't like the laws that have been passed or something that's been done by your local government, then you would have no recourse. And I believe that that in itself is the ultimate pinnacle of anti-democracy.
Yeah. She's right, and she should say it. Overzealous Euthanasia says, I'm quite worried they seem to be determined to do anything to get this Cop City built. Like, where's the line going to be for this insanely authoritarian playground scheme? Well, I mean, you know, the answer's in the question, isn't it? It's an insanely authoritarian playground scheme. So if you think that there is a line that cannot be altered, that they're putting in the sand, then you're wrong, aren't you? Mr. Dank says the right believers they are entitled to shape reality. Their relentless billion-dollar corporate-funded media apparatus certainly helps with that. Yeah, for sure, dude.
Attorney Devin Franklin, all of these activists will be processed at the Fulton County Jail in the same way that Trump was and his co-conspirators. And can these charges be expanded to others? And as people organize for the referendum, as they organize against Cop City, which would be the largest such training facility in the country, does this completely derail it as they fight for their own vindication?
Nothing derails the movement. As Kiana spoke, there have been ups and downs throughout the entire period of this. But one thing that we know is that the movement has shown a great deal of resiliency, intelligence, and structure and organization.
Yeah.
It's a wide-ranging movement. Black people, white people, heterosexual people, transgender people, environmentalists, social justice activists. It's a coalition of people who have come together around several issues and allow people to learn from one another about a variety of things. So I do not believe that this farce of an indictment is going to intimidate those members of the movement. To answer your first question, I do believe that the persons who have been charged at some point in time will go through the same booking processes as the people involved in the Trump indictment. It is too early to know if they will have the same access to.
Oh, his camera keeps cutting out.
You just froze, Devin.
Let me know when I'm back.
Go ahead, Devin.
Yeah, it's unclear as to whether or not members of the movement will have access to the same negotiation abilities for bonds as members of the Trump indictment did. We would certainly hope so, but it's really early in the process, and we are awaiting word of what that will look like.
Well, I want to thank you both for being with us. Devin Franklin, Movement Policy Counsel at the Southern Center for Human Rights, and Kiana Jones, a Stop Cop City organizer for Community Movement Builders, both speaking to us from Atlanta, Georgia.
Hell yeah. Okay, Big Amy, thanks so much for that report. Thanks, Kiana. Thanks, Devin. Again, chat, please go support Democracy Now! Incredible, awesome, very, very cool reporting. The only left-wing actual reporting in the US, as far as I know. We're going to jump over real quick to the Benjamin Dixon show now. Benjamin Dixon, great guy. We don't watch his stuff too often here on the channel, but you should definitely go and show some love to his channel. He does some great reporting alongside his co-hosts on the Benjamin P. Dixon show. So yeah, we're gonna go and see what him and his colleagues' take is on this whole deal.
Based on the evidence we presented, the grand jury has returned an indictment charging 61 people with violation of the Georgia Racketeer Influence and Corrupt Organizations Act.
In the state of Georgia, over 60 individuals in Georgia have been indicted on racketeering, influence, and corrupt organization charges related to their opposition to the Atlanta Public Safety Training Center known as Cop City. We've covered this for some time back when there were domestic terrorism charges levied against about 40 individuals who had been organizing and gathering in the forest. They have been known as the forest defenders. They have been trying to protect the 90 acres of land that...
These are some of the coolest mugshots, by the way. There was someone just there with a "No Gods, No Masters" tattoo.
In the forest. They have been known as the forest defenders.
Check it out. That legit says "No Gods, No Masters." That fucking rocks. Hell yeah.
They have been trying to protect the 90 acres of land, that publicly owned land that has been donated to the policing agencies that are behind this attempt to build a playground for police officers. They're going to have a movie set, not a movie theater, but a movie set, a helo pad, all kinds of toys and gadgets for them to quote unquote train. Well, in opposition to that, there have been activists who have made homes in the forest on publicly owned land, and they have stood there to oppose this seizure of land, this destruction of the forest, and this
for like almost a year now, right? Like when did Cop City action? Stop Cop City. Timeline. Okay. Plans were approved by the city in September 2021 after 17 hours of public comment from over 1,100 residents, 70% of whom opposed the project. This is the thing that people forget about Cop City. Yeah, this is the thing that people actually do forget about Cop City, which is that 70% of the 1,100 residents who were consulted for the construction of this quote-unquote training area. It is a training area. I don't know why I'm quoting it like that, but it is. It's just all dubious, isn't it? I'm like on the trigger finger for like, you know, saying quotation marks. But anyway, 70% of those residents opposed the project. And also residents have expressed concern that the approval process was secretive with limited input from affected communities. So it wasn't even overwhelmingly talking to people who, you know, are going to be living in that area. So it's like they had this like selective process and they said, no, okay, well, I don't know, I guess we'll just do it anyway. Really, really, really bad. The advisory committee did not include representatives from environmental groups, did include representatives from police and fire departments. So, you know, little bit biased, huh? But yeah, okay, so beginning in late 2021, the contested forest was occupied by self-described forest defenders. So actually, like, 2 years. It's been going on for 2 years, chat. And that's why they're so desperate to get this, like, over and done with. Like, they want to put all these people in prison. So then it's just like, okay, no one's going to do it again. Everyone will shit themselves. They don't want to get put in prison. They don't want to get a criminal record, etc., right? That's it.
Promotion that
so
the cops
bad
are being given in the wake of the George Floyd protest. This,
right.
Listen, before I go any deeper, I need people to understand Cop City is the giveaway, the participation trophy, the consolation prize given to police who had to endure the George Floyd protest.
Yeah.
I put it that way because when we pause and ask ourselves, what did black people get out of what happened to George Floyd and all of the protests? We didn't get any criminal justice reform. We didn't get any type of reforms at all with the policing agency. The only thing we got was more police. We didn't get any protection of our voting rights. We didn't get the George Floyd.
Whoa, let's have a look at that as well. This is important too, chat. This is important too. This is capitalism funding fascism as we see it, as it happens. Among the Atlanta Police Foundation's board members are representatives from many major corporations, including JP Morgan, Wells Fargo, AT&T, Delta, Federal Reserve Bank of Atlanta, Accenture, Sotheby's, UPS, Amazon, Waffle House, Equifax, Merrill, a Bank of America company, KPMG, Chick-fil-A, Home Depot, and Georgia Pacific. I don't know what some of those companies are, but we've got some of the worst companies listed here in this fucking collaboration of capitalism funding fascism.
We didn't get any protection of our voting rights. We didn't get the George Floyd justice and all those acts that the Congress promised. That we did nothing. But what did the police get? Well, they got a $90 million facility that's going to sit on so many acres in the middle of the public forest that's owned by the people. And there have been protesters who have been holding the line against this for a few years.
And it's going to be used, to train people, to train police to basically more efficiently handle protests. I thought waffles were allies. Wait, what? Are you being serious? I can't tell if you're being serious right now.
It's been a while. And those individuals, 60 of them now, are facing RICO charges. And so when we talk about Georgia and we talk about RICO, while that RICO charge has been used efficiently against the criminal syndicate that is the Trump organization and their attempt to overturn the election results, we're now seeing the same RICO statute be used against activists, forest defenders. And I want you to listen very closely to how these individuals are being described. The indictment characterizes the opposition movement known as Defend the Atlanta Forest as an enterprise of militant anarchists, eco-activists, and community organizers. What? Community organizers? Now being a community organizer is considered to be a part of a RICO statute. What's essentially going on, and I have a clip from Georgia Attorney General Chris Carr, who is prosecuting the case. He has been hinting that they were going to...
Oh, you don't know about the company Waffle House? It's like an eatery in America. I thought you were an American euthanasiast. Sorry. But yeah, this is the thing. Like, you know, what Benjamin's talking about here is really important, because it's like, they are going to use these charges to, you know, like I said before, mutual aid and solidarity are going to be like trigger words in terms of like, well, if you hear someone talking about that, they might be a terrorist, right? And if you hear someone talking about being a community organizer, they might be a terrorist, which is going to fuck up even NGOs. There's even going to be like official NGOs who are charities, and they're doing everything above board. You know, places like Trans Lifeline, places like fucking, you know, the Trevor Project and shit like that, all fucking getting basically done over because they think that, like, you know, they're doing some kind of anarchist, horrible, militant, terrorist shit. Yeah. It's what Sorka said before. Yeah, real Red Scare stuff. Yeah.
Do this for some time. So the clip I'm going to play is a little old, but it gives you an idea of how long they have been.
But the thing is this, and I've said this before. I've said this about other things. Yeah, I've said this about like how the UK is trying to repeal protest laws and trying to bring in all these like horrible fascist laws and stuff like that. The thing is that the difference between now and then, and especially the difference between now and then in the US, if they're trying to bring in like a new Red Scare shit, well, unfortunately for these people who want to do this, not only are the people who support that kind of stuff overwhelmingly in the minority, but also there is the internet, isn't there? There's the internet where there's like loads of people talking about this stuff, debunking it, saying how absurd it is. Me included. So, you know, the next time that you see him talking about bringing in online security bills to stop people from I've just been so distracted with what Sorka said in the chat, so I'm just gonna read what Sorka said in the chat because it's true. This is gonna make mass shooters target mutual aid orgs as well. Abso-fucking-lutely, yeah, abso-fucking-lutely, Sorka, you're spot on. And that is in turn gonna mean that those organizations are gonna have to defend themselves, and so it's just encouraging this horrible stochastic terrorism that's gonna lead to so many people being killed. You know. It's going to lead to so many people being killed. Hey, Kitty Splain, how you doing? Yeah, mask off fascism, yeah.
Preparing to wage this type of war against activists who are trying to defend the forest, who are trying to defend the black community that is right next to these acres that the cops want to use. And they're trying to stand against this promotion, this participation trophy prize. There's literally not a single need or a reason for this facility to exist, except for the fact that the cops are spoiled and get literally everything they want or ask for. And this is being committed not by Republicans in the city of Atlanta. Nope. This is not being committed by white folks in the city of Atlanta. This is being sent down by black Democrats in Atlanta, the misleadership class, including my favorite, Keisha Lance Bottoms, right? She initiated this, and now Andre Dickens, he is the mayor of Atlanta now, who is pushing this. Listen to Georgia Attorney General Chris Carr as he explains this case.
As I've said for months, the state of Georgia would not tolerate the repeated acts of violence and destruction that have occurred in an attempt to stop the construction of the Atlanta Public Safety Training Center.
Name one act of violence, bro. Name one. Name one. I challenge you to name one. Because the thing is that this is going to get brought before a court now, and you're going to be the prosecution, and you're going to have to name these acts of violence supposedly that happened. So I hope you're prepared to do that, because then if you go to court and there are no actual, there's no evidence, or there's no actual acts of violence that you can list, then you're going to look like a very silly Billy, aren't you? At the very least. I mean, that's a fact. We don't know how the court's going to go. We don't know how the jury's going to go, because unfortunately, you know, the law is not there to protect anyone. Like, it's not there to protect fascists, right? You know, fascists will, like, be there and they'll do the whole January 6th thing, and now look at all the Proud Boys going to prison, right? Whoops-a-daisy. Neoliberalism actually only needs you for like certain little bits, and then it'll throw you away with the rest of us, right? And then it doesn't protect leftists. It certainly doesn't protect fucking leftists. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, it's only there to protect capital. It's only there to protect capital. I mean, I do want to just clarify. It protects fascists up to a point, right? Because not everybody who went to the January 6th protest is getting arrested, but I guess in the same way, not everybody who was doing the Georgia forest defender, the Atlanta forest defending has been indicted, but I don't know, it's overwhelmingly more, I don't know. Anyway, you know what I'm trying to say. The law is just not, it's not built to serve anyone other than capital.
A state-of-the-art facility for firefighters, EMTs, and law enforcement. I vowed as Attorney General to hold accountable those responsible for those actions. Today, I am pleased to announce the latest development in our vigorous pursuit of the suspects. Following an investigation...
Vigorous pursuit. They're not even hiding it. They're like, yeah, we're desperate to stop these people from exercising their First Amendment rights, you know?
Conducted by the Georgia Bureau of Investigation, the Atlanta Police Department,
that's right, Sorkin,
the Georgia Department of Public Safety, the Federal Bureau of Investigation, and other law enforcement partners. Our office took this case to a Fulton County grand jury on August 29th.
Hang on a minute. Did he just say the FBI? Investigation conducted by the Georgia
Bureau of Investigation, the Atlanta Police Department, the Georgia Department of Public Safety, the Federal Bureau of Investigation, and...
I love how, like, Republicans hate the deep state until it's, like, useful to them. Do you know what I mean? Because they see the FBI as, like, an overreach of state power, don't they? It's like, oh no, we need more states' rights. But it's like, oh well, we could do with the FBI because they're really powerful. They got a lot of money. Do you know what I mean? It's like, it's just so disingenuous.
Other law enforcement partners. Our office took this case to a Fulton County grand jury on August 29th. Based on the evidence we presented, the grand jury has returned an indictment charging 61 people with violation of the Georgia Racketeer Influence and Corrupt Organizations Act.
It's going to be interesting if the grand jury is the same one. Yeah? It's going to be interesting if the grand jury is just like the same one as the one that indicted Trump. Because then it's going to be like, oh, well, you know, what are they centrist? It's like a centrist grand jury. Absolutely bizarre. Cops just see the FBI as an extension of themselves. Yeah, I guess they do. Yeah, I guess they do.
Some are also charged with domestic terrorism, attempted arson in the first degree, and money laundering. As alleged in the indictment.
I am going to make a prediction. Attempted arson charges, evidence supporting those charges are going to be like possession of lighters. That's what it's going to be. Possession of lighters and or alcohol. I guarantee it. I fucking guarantee it. Yeah. I'm calling it right now.
The defendants are members of Defend the Atlanta Forest, an anarchist, anti-police, and anti-business extremist organization. We contend the 61...
It's so funny. They're like anti-business. They are desperate to not say anti-capitalist, even though it would work for them. It would work. If they said anti-capitalist, they would be like, yeah, sure. But I think they're like aware that anti-capitalism is like really popular now. So I'm not even sure. Like, I don't even know why they just say like anti-business. I think it's just so that like petty bourgeois fucking knobheads are gonna support it. You know what I mean? The money laundering is just a healthcare GoFundMe for one of the members. Yeah, it'll be stuff like that. Yeah. Possession of lighters or having a campfire going. Yeah, definitely.
Defendants together have conspired to prevent the construction of the Atlanta Public Safety Training Center by conducting...
Oh, they fixed the audio. What the fuck?
...and organizing acts of violence, intimidation, and property destruction.
Now, I let that play completely through because anyone who has paid attention to this story knows that the violence has come from one side. In fact, the police have killed one of the protesters. And listen, let's call these people what they really are. And I don't mean this in an insulting way, but these are tree huggers. Mm-hmm. These are peace activists. These are people who have committed their lives and they've set up in...
Again, every single fucking leftist who is an actual definite leftist bases their politics on love, compassion, and, you know, care for others. In this world and nature. You know what I mean? Like, that is our ideology, isn't it? If you are opposing that, well, your ideology is bad, isn't it? Just by the very nature of it.
Side of trees, literally tree houses to protect the trees. And here they're describing them as some kind of monsters, anarchists who want to destroy. The key phrase in there was that he lumped them in as being anti-business. They are blocking a $90 million project. Those $90 million are supposed to go to some contractor who wants those checks. They want that business. And so we are seeing the complete consolidation of a fascist movement happen right in Atlanta. It's being brought to us by a black Democratic mayor. And it's being waged against people who are trying to defend the environment. All while, by the way, have you noticed how much climate change we really are experiencing?
Yeah.
Have you noticed the intensity of the storms? Have you noticed the intensity of the fires? So forgive me if I'm going to side with the people who are not only trying to defend the black community from more police being put right next to their homes, but there are people who are trying to defend the forest, trying to defend the environment from this wasteful spending that's going to create an environmental hazard right there in the middle of public forest lands. But those individuals, those tree huggers, and I mean that in a positive way, those people who are willing to put their lives on the line to protect the environment and to protect the black community from an excess giveaway.
Yeah.
Something the police don't need. They don't even cut on their body cams after we've given them millions upon millions of dollars of body cameras. They have not stopped killing us despite the fact that we've given them millions upon millions of dollars in training.
It's true. He's right, and he should say it. Chat, make sure you go follow Benjamin P. Dixon. He's a great content creator, reporter. Yeah, please go show him some love. Very, 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 very accurate. Excellent reporting. So that's it on the Cop City stuff. We've done that. We've got through that. Finally, it's it's depressing and it sucks. But it's just going to be interesting to see how it goes, right? It's going to be interesting to see how it actually goes and whether any of these charges are going to result in convictions. I don't doubt that some of them will, because again, the fucking state and law is all, it's literally just like set up to hurt leftists, and they want to threaten and intimidate leftists in any single way that they can. Yeah. All those protesting this do really need as much protection and coverage as we can give them. The police won't hold back when push comes to shove. Abso-fucking-lutely. Abso-fucking-lutely. Yeah. Yeah, we made it through. Good job, everyone. We made it through. So now we're going to go and check out our boy, Owen Jones. And we're going to see if he says, "Are you high?" again. Because this is a thing that we're looking at nowadays. He said it a couple of times on the stream on Tuesday. That was very, very funny. I don't know why he says it. He's just saying it. He just says the stuff. And then he tweeted it as well. It's his thing that he likes to say at the minute. And it's like, I don't know. Listen, I've smoked like a lot of weed in my life. Yeah, like loads of weed, like an ungodly amount of weed. Like if you piled up how much weed I've smoked in front of me, like in my life, it would just be drastic. It would be drastic. But the point I'm trying to make is that I've never made any of the decisions that Theresa May has made when writing her book and calling it The Abuse of Power. Anyway. Bit of a stupid thing for him to say. But he is a very good reporter, isn't he? So we're going to check out some more of his content. So this is a video on Labour's new policies that have been humiliated. I don't really know what's going on, but apparently Rachel Reeves has had a car crash of an interview. I think that's what's going on. So we're going to check out some Labour humiliation. There isn't really a content warning for this segment of the stream. So yeah, don't worry, unless you're just depressed with like how neoliberal electoral politics is happening. So there you go. Hey Emmy, how's it going? Welcome to the stream. Joining to Mule's admission of how much weed he smoked with no context is quite funny. It is quite funny, isn't it? Anyway, listen, chat. It's that point in the stream where I have to say, please consider, if you haven't already, or even if you already have and you want to do it even more, subbing off Twitch. If you like what you're watching, if you've laughed, had fun, or learned something, please consider donating to my PayPal. Help me pay my bills, rent, eat, take myself out on little dates, and just generally be able to survive, because this is my full-time job. If you donate to to my PayPal using the link in the chat, it means that 100% of the money goes to me, your boy Donkus Jonkus, and it means that 50% of the dough doesn't actually go to horrific Amazon CEOs, Twitch CEOs, who just make terrible decisions. They use Amazon Web Services, which, as we saw earlier today, just completely fucking crapped out and meant that I couldn't. You know what I mean? I actually couldn't stream for a bit, so I couldn't do my job for as long as I wanted to do. So anyway, very annoying. But yeah, please consider subbing off Twitch. This month we're going to be watching Sisu and Hard Ticket to Hawaii in movie night. So if you want that double feature, make sure you get us to £300. I brought down the total donation goal, so it's more achievable for people. I know people are struggling right now, and I'm just having to basically budget. So we're going to watch Sisu, we're going to watch Hard Tickets to Hawaii. Make sure you get us to £300 before the 15th of the month. Next Wednesday, we're going to be doing the incentive from last month, which is me dressed as a gnome doing some DJ stream, basically. Doing some DJing. I'm going to be DJing some drum and bass next Wednesday. But the incentive for this month's total dono goal is actually going to be I'm going to play some guitar. It's going to be like a gig. I'm going to be doing like acoustic guitar, playing some songs. They're going to be songs that you know, a bunch of cover songs and stuff. It's going to be a nice little acoustic gig. I'm going to have some candles lit. It's going to be very, very atmospheric, It's going to be really exciting. So I hope you can all join me for that and get us to the £600 goal before the end of the month. So think about that. Anyway, that's the spiel done for today. We are going to have a look at this next segment. So go ahead and support Owen Jones. He's a lovely lad, even though he says some silly stuff sometimes. It's not that harmful. So go and support him. Give him a like. Give him a subscribe. And we're going to see what he's got to say about this Rachel Reeves interview.
So, in case it's escaped your attention, the Conservatives have thoroughly wrecked the country, worst squeezing living standards in modern history, collapsing public services, collapsing infrastructure, housing crisis. The roof risks falling in, quite literally, in schools and hospitals across the...
Chat, hang on a second. Why is the subtitle... Is the subtitles a changed country? Changed country. Have the subtitles changed colour? Like, they're like grey. Why is that? Is that something that's been happening?
Nation. This is a country now defined by decline...
No, I'm not going to be playing Wonderwall. I'm not going to be doing any fucking Oasis songs. Baby, you find it being the... If you want me to do Wonderwall, you got to get me to £900. Right? So, everybody shut up about it unless you want to spend more money on the stream this month.
Stagnation, insecurity, and poverty.
I actually know a bit of Slayer, Sploot Newt, so I could do an acoustic version of, like, Raining Blood.
And it is crying out for a bold alternative. A party, if you like, with the sort of courage and determination that Labour had after World War II, when much of the country had been reduced to rubble by the Luftwaffe and the economy was itself in ruins. But those guys didn't go...
I don't play music from white supremacist bands, overzealous euthanasiast.
Do you know what?
So Pantera is a no-go.
Not enough money, can't do anything, sorry. That's the way the cookie crumbles. No, they didn't say that. They set about building the National Health Service, the welfare state, and nationalising large sections of the economy. Bad news, guys. Turns out we do not have that courageous, inspiring alternative. It is missing in action. After Keir Starmer made a series of cast iron promises to get elected. I know I've said this a lot, but got to tell the truth about what's actually happened in British politics.
You know it's Sploot Newt.
Literally my job. Hiking tax on the rich, nationalisation, scrapping tuition fees, a very, very long list which will go on forever. And then reverse those promises, claiming it was all down to changed circumstances, because as everyone knows, when the problems get bigger, the solutions have to get smaller. Now, the Shadow Chancellor, Rachel Reeves, took to the airwaves this week and tried to defend Labour's various U-turns on taxing the booming rich and instead relying on economic growth.
Yeah, it's all good, overzealous, don't worry.
Conservative trickle-down economics rebadged. It's not even that rebranded, to be honest. Anyway, let's just listen to a caller ring in and quote an economist at Rachel Reeves, because, mamma mia, mwah, the payoff is delicious.
So I've got a quote here from a pretty prominent economist, and they say that Labour needs to provide an alternative for aggressive policies being prioritised by the Conservative. The banks and those earning more than £100,000 could quite easily contribute a little more, and unless they do, inequality and poverty will inevitably soar in the months and years ahead. Do you agree with that statement?
The way that I believe that you can reduce inequality, reduce poverty, and actually also improve the living standards of ordinary working people, not in poverty, but struggling to get by.
I'm not being funny, but like her and Keir Starmer, they've got like proper posh accents, haven't they? Like they sound like they're from like the same area. What, like fucking Kent? Where was Keir Starmer born? He always says he was born on a council estate, doesn't he? Keir Starmer. Sorry, I'm sorry for burping. I know I've been burping quite a lot recently. It's quite rude, isn't it? Where was he fucking born? University of Leeds, and then he went to Oxford. He was born in Southwark, of course he was, and grew up in Surrey, of course he did. There you go, fucking posh cunt.
Is through growing the economy, because that is the way that we can ensure that working people have more money in their pockets and we have more money for public services. And
what are you saying? What are you talking about? What are you on about? This is literally Reaganomics. She's doing Reaganomics. Listen to this, chat.
Of ordinary working people, not in poverty, but struggling to get by, is...
Hang on. The way that I believe that you can
reduce inequality, reduce poverty, and actually also improve the living standards of ordinary working people, not in poverty, but struggling to get by, is through growing the economy.
So hang on a minute. We don't care about people in poverty. So did you see what she said there? She was like, people not in poverty but struggling to get by. We improve the economy. That's what we do. So hang on, you're leaving actual poor people in the gutter then? Is that what you're doing?
economy, because that is the way that we can ensure that working people have more money in their pockets and we have more money for public services. And one of the real failures...
Literally fucking Reaganomics. Literally fucking Reaganomics. I can't even fucking deal with this shit. I uploaded the VOD for last Monday's stream, by the way, chat. If you weren't here last Monday, I basically did a whole big fucking stream where we were listening to Jeremy Corbyn talking to someone from Middle East Eye or Al Jazeera, I can't remember, and he was just still so based, and I was just getting so upset about how the 2019 election went, and now I'm getting upset about that again, because what fucking alternative do we have to the Tories in this country? It's just so bullshit. Yeah, show me the economy. Like, what is the economy? Show it to me. Can you bring it to me and show it to me? No. All right, well, you're talking shit then, aren't you? It's fucking annoying. Right, I know, Splootnoo. Yeah, it's just fucked.
Over these last 13 years is to grow our economy in all parts of the country, creating those good quality, high paid jobs. So,
okay, you are a fucking clown. You are a fucking clown, Rachel Reeves, because if you're talking about the fucking economy, yeah, and growing the economy, like, the economy, quote unquote, the economy, like, is the thing that works for rich people, right? So, if anything, the Conservatives have actually grown the economy. It's just that the economy doesn't work for everybody. It doesn't fucking work for everybody. It works for rich people. Socialism for the rich, bailouts for the rich, cronyism, corruption, payouts all over the place. And it's just not fucking... It's not going to work. It's not going to work. My mother's still a hardline Labour supporter. It takes so many levels of pure copium. It's honestly impressive to watch. Yeah, like, you know, I know people... Listen, I know people in the union who are like that, Sorka. And it's really shit. Okay, Sorka, listen. I'm going to be real with you. I ain't putting the fucking Ushanka on. It's way too hot. Sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm going to refund your points and you can do something else. There's no way I'm putting the fucking Ushanka on today. I'm so sorry. It's not happening. Anyway, you're evil. So where was I? Yeah, there's people in the union who are like that. There's people in the union who are like hardline, you know, Labour members, and they're like, we've got to push him left. We've got to push the policies left, and it's like, that is just not happening. It's not going to happen. Thank you, peeps. I will hydrate. Also, hi, Sir Goosebumps. Good to see you again.
My priority is to get that economic growth back in our economy, to lift people out of poverty, and to have the money we need to invest in our...
Listen to this shit, chat. This is a joke. This is a joke. This is a joke. It's literally like...
back in our economy, to lift people out...
Get the economic growth back in our economy. Are you serious? Are you fucking serious?
Is to get that economic growth back in our economy, to lift people out of poverty, and to have the money we need to invest in our schools and our hospitals and so much else of the public realm.
So, you know, the thing is that what she's talking about here, right, which would be really good, is a wealth tax. That's what she's on about. She's actually, what she's describing, grow the economy, put the growth back in the economy. Like, it's the only thing that would help working people and the public sector, yeah, is a wealth tax. That's what would help. And in fact, do you know what else would help grow the economy and make that, you know, sure that there was more money for the government to spend on things for the public? Nationalising services. Because then the profits don't go to random individuals, do they? They go to the state, and then the state can be like, here you go, money, yeah. It's just vile. It's just so vile. Also, hey, 3 geese in a trench coat, how's it going? He's like, he'll vote for Labour, and once he's voted for the winning, and for once he'll have voted for the winning side, and I'm like, buddy, why vote for them? They're going to do fucking nothing for the general public, and their policies are just as bad as the Tories. Everybody who supported Jeremy Corbyn in 2019 should vote for the Green Party. That's the only time. That's the only thing that should happen. They could legalize drugs and tax them anytime they want to. The financial boost from that would should be enough to solve many shortfalls. That's a bit of a myth. And also, it wouldn't quite work if, you know, these things are then being like sold by private individuals, you know, along with providing more jobs. No, I'm sorry. Legalizing drugs is not going to, it will make a huge difference in harm reduction. That's for sure. Decriminalizing drug use, legalizing drugs. That'll be really good. We spoke about that the other day, but very, very, very like low on the list of priorities, honestly. Seriously. By the time an actual election happens, the Labour Party is going to be further right-wing than the Tories were in 2016. Yeah.
Which has been, you know...
I mean, they're basically there right now, Sorka, actually.
...mated, frankly, by this Conservative government.
Well, it's weird. Why didn't she just say whether she agreed with the Economist or not without all that babble?
Hey, Muhanga, how are you doing?
Let's just listen to the next bit, shall we? And I think all will become clear.
Helena's question, you know the Economist that she quoted? That was actually you.
What? You are shitting me, dude. You are shitting me. Red-handed. Red fucking handed, Rachel Reeves. You fucking prick. Holy shit. This is what happens, chat. This is corruption at play. This is when you like get involved in politics and you think like, you know what? Yeah. Well, electoral politics anyway. You think, yeah, I'm going to be progressive. I'm going to do all this stuff. And then the lobbying and the corruption and the party line comes out. Do you know what I mean? Oh, you don't want to lose your job, do you? You just got put into the position of Shadow Chancellor. You've just got put into the position of Shadow Chancellor. You don't want to lose your job, do you? Well, you should have some more right-wing economic policies than the ones that you actually believe in. And she's gone, yeah, you know what? You're right. I'm all right. I'm all right. I don't care about other people that much. It's horrible. I've seen this happen to like actual people that I know when they get involved in electoral politics and it turns them into monsters, like actual monsters. Actual monsters. And they don't think that they're monsters because for them it's been a career. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, well, no, I've worked my way up. And they just become the most vile individuals that you've ever met. They say some of the most horrible things that you'll ever fucking see. No, that's what happened, Sorka. Yeah, she got herself quoted back at her, yeah. Yeah, the caller quoted what she said. Like, listen to that again. Listen to that again, chat, in case you missed
Helena's question, you know the Economist that she quoted? That was actually you.
Well, look, I mean, I want to reduce poverty and inequality. I didn't go into politics, but how do you do that? What are the practical things that we can do?
You, in the thing that caller said, she mentioned things that you said that would practically reduce poverty. What the fuck are you talking about?
In that quote was to tax the banks more and those earning more than £100,000 more, but you've gone back on that.
Well, look, the way that I think that we can lift people out of poverty and reduce inequality...
That's because she'd have to pay more tax, isn't it, chat? That's what it is. That's because when she gets into the position of Shadow Chancellor, she'll be getting a lot of dough. A lot of dough. And we're not just talking the salary, we're talking the MP salary, we're talking the minister's salary, you know? We're talking the fucking donations, shit like that, gifts, inheritance, all that kind of shit.
Quality, as I say, is to get the economy growing, and that has been the missing ingredient these last 13 years. Now, you know, Phil sort of says, oh, I'm an ex-banker. Yes, I am an ex-Bank of England economist.
Oof. Just listen to
ex-Bank of England economist. She's getting at least 150k a year. Here's what I don't understand. I just don't get it, chat. I don't get it. You all see how much money I make. It's on my Patreon. You can see on the fucking thing here how much money I make. I have no idea why people need to earn that much money. It's all fucking fake. All the stuff that you get from being fucking rich, yeah? Like a bigger house, a fucking loud car, like, you know, all this kind of stuff. It's all made up. Like, none of it means fucking anything. It just means that you're a fucking parasite. That's all it means. You know, I've never been, like, more happy in my entire life than I am right now. And I've earned way more money than I have done before, like, not doing this. like not doing content creation. Like when I was working, when I was fucking like 23, I was earning fucking 18 grand a year. 18 grand a year. Most I've ever been earning per year was 19 grand a year. Oh, there you go. Snap at me, right? You know. And the thing is, chat, is that I quit that job because I knew I was fucking people over. Because guess what I was doing? I was working for a bank. Selling people loans who didn't fucking need them. You know? This is my penance, if anything. I'm trying to get my fucking soul back. You get me? So, you know, fuck me. It's just... So if you were earning 100 grand... Like, what's wrong with paying fucking 50, like, what, you wouldn't even be paying, like, 50% tax. Absurd to think that paying 50% tax is too much. At the time, I felt like I had loads. Don't get how you could have, like, 10 times these amounts and still be fucking greedy. It's just so fucked. It's so fucked.
Her past comments quite rightly calling for the banks and the rich to pay more, or inequality or poverty will only grow, she says. And she couldn't agree with her own comments because she's completely U-turned on everything that she said. Now, let's just deal with Labour's supposed answer to how they'll solve the multiple crises and injustices which don't just scar this nation but now define it, all caused by the Conservative Party and the bankrupt economic model that they exist to.
Right, Sorka, yeah.
And the answer is growth. We will simply grow the economy more than the Conservatives. As someone put it out on Twitter, this is a bit like saying when a football team's not doing very well and you criticise and go, well, I would just score more goals. Yeah, I mean, great. You know, this is just trickle-down economics. It is no different from what Thatcherism or...
I kind of draw the line at that over zealous euthanasia. Financial hoarding should be considered a mental illness because it's not. You're just fucking greedy. You're just a piece of shit. Do you know what I mean? I don't want to sit here and be like, oh yeah, it's because they're unwell. It's not. It's nothing to do with that. It's to do with the system. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, I'm drawing the line at that.
Reaganism or today's Tory talk about. Economic growth, relying on economic growth without redistribution. You don't need to redistribute wealth because you will simply grow the economy instead. Now, to put that mildly, it hasn't worked. That model has been pursued and failed catastrophically. Now, free market economics, what Thatcherism unleashed, has meant less growth. What we've seen from the 1980s onwards is stagnating and falling growth, much less growth on average
in
the post-war settlement of nationalisation, high taxes on the rich, strong trade unions, strong state intervention in the economy. The heyday was the 1960s. That's when we had the biggest growth.
Can systems not make people unwell? Okay, I can't say this enough, right? People who are in positions of power are not the same as people who are working class, suffering from anxiety, depression, whatever kind of mental illness that you're experiencing because capitalism sucks, yeah? So yes, you're right. Systems can make people unwell, yeah? But I'm not going to fucking sit here and say, and let my chat say, that, it's the same as being poor. It's the same as the mental illnesses that happen because people are poor. Like, no, sorry, fuck that. Completely fucked to think that. Do you know what I mean? Like, I really, really, really have to, like, we had this like a couple of weeks ago, and I actually just sent a deny unban request to that guy who came in here and started saying, like, about how, like, oh, well, just because everyone will go blind later in the life doesn't mean it's the same as being born blind, so it's technically not as bad. And then said, oh, I'm sorry, I've got ADHD. In fact, he didn't even say I'm sorry. He said, I've got ADHD, actually. That's why I say random stuff like that. And I fucking banned him because that is not a fucking actual good excuse, yeah, to do that stuff. It's fucked. Own it. Apologize, right? So I have to really, really, really make sure that everybody knows, yeah? Like, you don't just go, oh, someone's mentally unwell, that's why they do bad stuff. Yeah? It's not. It's completely stupid. Yes, of course, people who are mentally unwell will do bad things based on what mental illness they have, the veracity of it, like the strength of it, you know what I mean? But they don't do it for that reason specifically. You know what I mean? Had a couple of drinks. Sometimes bad humor attempts escape this broken brain. You are doing that thing. That is not an excuse. You don't get to be just like, sorry, I'm mentally unwell, and also I'm a bit pissed. Don't care. Sorry, I don't fucking care. That's not an excuse. Do you know what I mean? Like, literally, as I'm saying it, you said it. What is happening? Are you listening to what I'm saying? Like, it's really fucking important, this chat. It's like fucking day one empathy class. Day one empathy class. Like, people who have mental illnesses don't do bad things because they have mental illnesses. Yeah? It's a variety of things. It's a fucking variety of things. So, fucking stop with this shit. Yeah? Because I'm just going to start banning people. Just going to start banning people. Yeah? And I don't care how long you've been in the community. I don't care how much you've supported it, how much money you've fucking donated. You're getting banned because that is like just such a lack of analysis and solidarity that like you just don't belong in this community. You just don't belong here. You know what I mean? I did it last week. I'll do it again. Don't fucking care.
Growth. Nothing to do with post-war.
Hey Valerie, what's up?
People go, oh, that's because we were rebuilding the country. No, we weren't. The country had been thoroughly rebuilt by the 1960s. So Stam isn't talking about abandoning free market economics, which has led to this stagnant economic growth. Even though he did say that in the leadership contest, we were going to abandon that economic model, but he was lying through his teeth. Now, when they say, well, New Labour managed this in 1997, didn't they? But the problem is they inherited a growing economy. The conditions were completely different. That was unsustainable. That was based on a model which I'm sure you'll all remember detonated pretty spectacularly in 2008. We never recovered from that. Never recovered from the financial crash. So the issue then in 1997 is you had that model. They inherited economic growth. That's why the Tories at the time said, "Don't let the economy's booming. Don't let Labour ruin it." That was their big slogan. Living standards were going up. So even though they stuck to Tory spending limits for the first 2 years, the growing economy, unsustainable, but growing economy meant more tax revenues. Now, this lot aren't even saying they'll do lots of big investment after 2 years. We don't even have that commitment. Now, let's just hear another caller tear Rachel Reeves' economic position to pieces.
Oh shit, let's go.
In sort of answer to that last call, or adding to it, you said you came into politics to change things, and yet all I've heard from you and the front bench is Tory policies for a Tory crisis.
Spot on, dude. Fucking spot on.
You're not going to tax wealth. You're not going to do much with income tax. You're leaving the profits of the banks, the water and the energy untouched. I remember very well, because I was born in that period, the Attlee government. And what they came in with was a four-letter word, hope. You aren't communicating hope.
No.
There is no ambition in evidence in what you're doing. And they had a much harder job than you've got to rebuild the country after the Second World War. COVID is bad. 2008 was terrible. But austerity has to be stopped. And you seem to be wanting to carry on worshipping the Treasury, because you are an ex-banker, Bank of England banker, and you don't seem to be in making any kind of ambition clear to me as a voter, or the public as voters, whether you're prepared to rise to these challenges, which are far worse than what we had in World War II.
So what's your actual question?
Well, the question is...
I don't have one, I just wanted to say that. That would be funny as fuck. That would be funny as fuck if he said that.
Why are you employing Tory policies to deal with a Tory crisis?
Well, he's absolutely right, isn't he? Public opinion is on the side of increasing tax on the rich. Every poll shows...
Okay, overzealous euthanasias. Look, I know you're not a bad person, so I'm not going to fucking ban you, right? But you're out here, yeah? You're saying, I'll read to everyone what overzealous euthanasias is saying in the chat. No, I didn't say it made it okay. I just explained what made the thought happen. I wasn't trying to say it was justified, and I am on multiple meds for long-term psychological problems. But that's a different area I believe was misinterpreted as an attempt to excuse. I'm really bad at communicating thoughts in a text. Sorry. Okay, because you've said sorry twice, this is why I'm giving you the time of day. And also, I know you, right? But here's the thing. You don't have to say that makes it justified by you saying, yeah, oh, I've had a couple of drinks. Oh, I've done this. That's you trying to justify it. That's what's happening. Yeah? When someone calls you out for doing something, you go, shit, sorry. Nah, you're right. That's it. You don't go, oh, I'm high, oh, I'm drunk, also, I'm unwell. Like, you don't do that. You just go, fuck, you're right, I'm sorry, my bad. That's the end of it. If you over-explain yourself like that, it's just excuses. That's all it is. And it's not people's fault that they do that. Sometimes that can come from a place of trauma. Sometimes that can come from a place of, you know, not understanding this stuff. Yeah. So, you know, I'm really sorry if this is like triggering that trauma for you. It's not my intention. But you have to understand that if someone is saying to you, that's fucked up, don't say that, and then you get it because the person's explained why, it doesn't serve you or the people that you've offended by saying, oh, I only said that because I'm drunk. Oh, I only said that because they're like, what? Just needless excuses. Needless. You don't need an excuse. We're ready to forgive you. Do you know what I mean? We're not the fucking state. We're not jail. We're not the cops. Yeah? You don't need to do that. Right, exactly. Valerie's right. It's not healthy for you to be in that spot making excuses as well. It's bad for you. You know what I mean? It's part of that thing that, like, makes white people, like, over-apologize for, like, you know what I mean, centuries of racism. It's like, oh, that, you know, they realize that, like, oh my God, I'm a white person and white people have, like, murdered people all over the world and and then, like, every time they see a black person or, like, a, you know, an indigenous person, they're like, I'm so sorry for what we did to you. That doesn't fucking help anybody. And it's bad for you too, right? It's bad for you too. It's a bad mindset to be in. It doesn't serve anybody. So I'm re-explaining this. I've explained this before on the stream, and I don't mind explaining it again. But when you make excuses like that, even if you think you're not making an excuse, even if you say, oh, well, I'm not saying I justified it, it's like, it is an excuse. That is what it is. You're desperately trying to be like, oh no, don't hurt me. Like, oh, I've done something really bad. And it's like, no one's hurting you. No one's cancelling you. No one's banning you. Yeah. Just, like, legit take the L. Like, you know what I mean? And it's not even an L. It's like a growth moment. It's like, all right, yeah, sick. I fucked up. No worries. So that's that.
Overwhelming support for increasing taxes on the rich, including many Conservative voters. Millions of Conservative voters, according to the polling. Does anyone really think Labour are going to lose their 18-point lead, gifted to them entirely because the Tories have destroyed themselves, if they said they'll increase taxes on the top 5% but keep everyone else's taxes the same, or equalising capital gains tax and income tax, so just sitting on stocks and shares and buy-to-let properties is taxed the same as if you go to work? No, that's not going to happen, is it? There's not. Right. We'd still end up with a Labour government. We just end up with a Labour government that actually does things which
take the L and make it mean learn.
More revenue.
That's pretty nice when it reads
into public services and improving people's living standards. But Labour instead want to get into the pocket of big business. That's the calculation that they've made. What's even more ridiculous is Rachel Reeves agreed with these positions last year. Listen to her.
We need a fairer system of taxation. If you go out to work...
Oh my God, Owen Jones is doing that shit again. He's doing that fucking shit again where it's like, I'm just going to bring this in. I'm not going to do any audio balancing. Just a crumb of audio balancing, please.
And you're paying income tax and national insurance, you're paying more tax than if you make an income from speculating on the stock market, right, or if you're getting income from a portfolio of buy-to-let.
Hey Vaughn, how you doing?
How are these people?
It's fucking crazy. It's fucking crazy.
Not incapacitated.
That she said that. You know what I mean?
Busyness with all these U-turns. Can they just keep up with themselves with anything that they're saying? Deceit, deception, U-turn, unbelievable. They're not committing to raising revenue, which is a precondition to fixing all these problems. We're not going to be able to fix things like the collapsing National Health Service, things like the collapse of public services, things like collapsing living standards, things like the housing crisis, things like poverty, without raising
a Lost Futures, what's going on?
Amount of cash, particularly because we've got an aging population. We need more and more money just to stand still. That's the reality. But they're not committing to it because they don't want to pick a fight with the rich. And the consequence of that is they're not going to fix the country's problems. Now, look, people, some of you go,
no, Johnny,
why are you doing about Labour? They're not in government. God, you talk about the Tories. I talk about the Tories all the time. Look at my video channel. The vast majority of my videos.
All good euthanasia. Don't even worry about it. It's all
Labour
good.
Going to win the election. Absolutely nailed on. I'll tell you why. Because, as a brilliant poll...
Okay, Vord, all right. I gotta address this because... Vord is saying, back from cleaning my dumbbells, I now fully understand the need to wear gloves while lifting. For those wondering, it's because of the skin flakes gunking up the handles after a while if you don't wear gloves. Okay, so I don't know if you're being serious about that, but if you are being serious about that, that is not why people wear gloves when they lift. People wear gloves when they lift so that they get a better grip on it, so that it's easier and you can pump heavier weights, right? Because what happens is when you don't wear gloves when you're lifting weights, you actually use a lot more of your wrist muscles and your finger muscles, the muscles in your fingers, right? So that isn't why. I don't know if you're making a joke. You might have been making a joke. If you're making a joke, okay, cool. But that is not why people, wear gloves while lifting. And I would also say that if that is making you consider wearing gloves while lifting, I would ask you to consider not doing that, because of course you want to be growing your finger muscles and your wrist muscles as well when you're lifting, don't you? So it is counterintuitive to wear gloves while you're lifting, and in fact, like it's probably only necessary at like the high echelons, you know what I mean, of bodybuilding. Hey, be cool, Theo. How you doing?
Lefty Stats, look them up on Twitter. As they pointed out, in the last year of a general election, before a general election, the government do claw back support, but the average since World War II has been by only 6 points. The most...
But it's up to you. If finger and wrist strength isn't your bag, go ahead and wear gloves. It's up to you.
Ever was by 20 points.
I don't want to leave epithelial evidence at the gym. Sorka says, I think the over-explaining while apologizing thing is fairly common with autism. I don't know if that's overzealous enthusiast situation, but the impulse to explain oneself, not just an excuse, but for expository reasons, is something I've noticed in myself and heard about from other autistic people I know. Well, yeah, I've heard about that too, and isn't that like to do with masking and people punishing people for like autistic behaviors? Like it's related to that too, right? I was only considering the immediate thing I just encountered. Okay. Frequent cleaning can also address the accumulation of shed skin. It's true, one who reads. Correct.
The Tories, to win a majority, would need a swing of 25 points.
Everything is always related to masking,
they're
right?
18 points behind on average, and they need a 7-point lead to get a majority. They're not going to do it. They're not going to win. Labour are going to win the election. It's nailed on. The Conservatives have too thoroughly destroyed themselves. And that's why we've got to hold to account the government in waiting. Because at the moment, they're promising nothing. The bare minimum. And the bare minimum is not good enough. This country is buggered. It is a busted flush of a country. And the lives of millions of people are defined by insecurity and hardship. And that's only going to get worse. And unless Labour are forced, kicking and screaming if necessary, to actually deliver something which can transform people's lives, then these crises and injustices are only going to get worse. And do you know what's going to happen then? That anger is going to go somewhere. And my fear, it will go into the arms, potentially, of a populist, authoritarian far right, which is resurgent in much of the world. That's my fear. We've got to fix this now in terms of sorting Labour out. Otherwise, I fear very dark days lie ahead.
Did his recording fuck up, or was that me? Oh no, he was just
in terms of
trapped like that for ages. Oh my god, he fucked up his recording. Christ. Poor Owen. He's trying so hard. He's got a lot of work on. Do you know what I mean? I'm willing to forgive him, but just a crumb of audio balancing, just a little bit of that in the editing, that would be ideal. Yeah, the thing that what I would say about like the autism trauma response and over-explaining, I think like that's another reason why we need to like stop that from happening, because there is like no need for you to over-explain yourself. Do you know what I mean? Like it's horrible that stuff has like happened to you in the past, right? And probably still happens to you now, actually. But like, yeah, we gotta stop that. We gotta stop like forcing people to like over-explain when they have like done transgressions. Like it doesn't, like I think it's gonna cause a feedback loop of trauma. You know what I mean? Like, I find that with trauma related to ADHD stuff, like I honestly like get into this like horrible trauma feedback loop where I do something related to my trauma and then I think about it again and again and again and again and again, and I just spin myself out, and it's fucking horrible. It's fucking absolutely horrible. It doesn't serve anybody, and autistic people deserve liberation in terms of, like, you know, how they act and how they are and stuff like that. Like, I'm fully in support of disabled people's liberation. Not that all autism is disabling, but, like, you know, it's counted as a disability, right? Neurodivergency. You know, definitely a feedback loop. I feel like my brain is in tombola of every perceived slight against someone else that I think I've been involved in. Yeah, and it sucks, Sorka. I want nothing more than, like, liberation from those thoughts for people, because that's just horrible, you know? It's horrible. You know? I hate my ADHD brain. Yeah, it sucks. It sucks really bad. I've been going by, if they did not explicitly ask for an explanation, you don't need to give one. It's had bumps, but it's working out. Hell yeah. Good for you, Gobs. Good for you. Anyway, we're learning. We're learning. Board!
Thanks for the education on the dumbbells.
Board, you have donated so much money already this month. That's absurd. Thank you so much for the £15.31. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I appreciate that. Everybody, please consider subbing off Twitch. Yeah, we're growing. Yeah. Everybody's growing. Everybody's learning. It's great. It's good. It's positive. You know. So, we are going to be checking out some more content now. The next bit of content that we're going to be looking at is basically, it's our boy Andrew. What a lovely lad. We love him to bits. We're going to be checking out a video that is called We Need More Third Spaces, or We Need Third Spaces. And it's very exciting. I'm a big proponent of third spaces. I'm going to shove a link in the chat real quick. Shpomp, shpomp, shpomp. There you go. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. The wonderful Andrewism. He does incredible videos. So please, please, please support, share, like, all that stuff. We're going to watch his next video. It's his most recent video. I think it's literally like today that it came out. But yeah, let's check it out. Let's check it out. Before I do that, though, I am actually going to go to the toilet real quick. So don't forget, chat, hydrate yourself. Make sure you go to the toilet yourself. Make sure you stretch your legs, have something to eat, all that kind of stuff. Take your meds if you haven't already. And I will be back. I'll be back very, very soon. So, anyway, back in the pit. Alright, I'm back. Oh yeah. Steph, Andrew's done loads of videos. Loads and loads and loads of videos on Solarpunk. Hold up, Sorka's saying a load of stuff, and I've missed it all. On some level, it feels like it's on the same wavelength of autism traits as our tendency to exposit about our own experience. We're trying to show empathy for someone else. Like on some level, I think autism comes with a tendency to exposit. So, that was the same one again. Also worth considering that though with autism, it's really hard to tell where autistic traits end and trauma responses to having those traits in a holistic society begin, because the empathy over-explaining might just be a trauma response to people not realizing we have empathy. Right, exactly. Yeah, I think about that shit all the time. I've been trying to like do my best to like educate myself on the autistic experience, because we have so many autistic people here in the community. But of course, like not being autistic yourself, and you know having like a very few content creators who are like doing autistic content, like explaining that stuff essentially. Talking about explaining as well, ridiculous. Yeah, it's quite difficult, but yeah, I appreciate all the insights, folks. I really do, honestly. Also, Zach is in the chat. Please go and show some love to Zach App. Absolute lad. Anyway, let's crack on. Let's watch this video.
Humans are social animals, but it seems as though many of us have lost that sense of community.
Oh, yeah.
Extended family households and tight-knit neighborhoods have become less prevalent as the demands of work suck our time and energy and scatter people across distances that make it difficult to maintain and establish deep-rooted bonds with others.
Oh my god, I'm fucking huge on this. Chat, this is like one of the reasons that I am a housing activist, right? Because how can people have a fulfilling life when we're constantly being forced to move around all the time? You can't get to know your neighbors. You can't establish nice bonds, as Andrewism says, deep-rooted bonds with other people, friendships, all that kind of stuff, like good relationships, good connections, if you're forced to move around all the time,
Many of us find ourselves in a truly bizarre situation when measured against the grand scale of human history. We are overwhelmingly surrounded by strangers, not community.
Yep.
Instead, the face-to-face intimacy of real-life communities that we've evolved to navigate and thrive within has been replaced by the internet, but it is a shallow substitute. On the surface, the digital frontier appears to offer immense possibilities, enabling us to connect with people from diverse backgrounds and distant corners of the world through shared interests and passions. But beneath the surface lies its disappointing reality.
Damn, Zach in the chat saying clearly never played a good MMO. Little bit of good timing right there.
The virtual often fails to satiate our need for genuine human interaction, and it is just as potent at atomizing us as well.
Yeah,
we face an epidemic of loneliness and isolation.
I think that the online experience can make people really individualized. Like, it can really make people very, very individualized without even realizing it. Someone made a great tweet the other day, and I thought it was so spot on. It's like we've got to the point where individualism is so prevalent in our society that whenever anyone makes like a very generalized statement, people are like desperate to take some kind of like, oh, they're actually like, talking about how I'm a bad person there. You know what I mean? When it's like not even related to that. Not even fucking related to that. It's the tweet. It's that tweet that I keep talking about when people are like, oh, I love pancakes. What? So you fucking hate waffles? Like, fuck me, it happens so regularly. Really bad. Hello, I'm done driving? Crystal, seriously? Like, you have to have been like, you can't have like just got out of the car, because like, that was 2 hours. Is that your commute?
Disconnected from the shared humanity that defines real-life communities. In his iconic work, The Great Good Play,
the online experience is a weird suit because it does individualize you, but I feel like that's more because of the pure, unrestrained capitalism exposure on the internet. Because at the same time, the internet can be very collectivizing. No, yeah, exactly. It's absolutely capitalism. Oh yeah. I'm not for a second saying that just happens because of the internet. No way. You kind of did it just then. Like, I wasn't talking about that. I wasn't saying that it was just the internet. You know what I mean? Generalized statement. Oh my God. He's wrong. He's wrong. It's not that. Kate Splain said, I told an EMT who developed migraine, I'm sorry, could I do anything to support you? She responded with, oh, don't worry, it's not your fault. I said, I understand I wasn't expressing responsibility, I was expressing as a measure of growth for me. Are you talking about like stuff we were talking about before? Sorry. Completely moved on from that. Sorry. Yeah. I was really confused just then. You didn't start driving immediately after you said you were going to. Oh, okay. Past the liquor store with a giant hole in the wall. The hole was covered by a sign that said, please park outside. Right. Okay. Gotcha. I was going to say, holy shit, 2 hours? That's crazy.
It's published in 1989.
No, it's all good, Sorka. It's all good, but it's like, it's just funny that you did that because it's like, yeah, that's kind of what I'm talking about. Like,
American sociologist Ray Oldenburg introduces a rather compelling concept for a healthy existence. The need for balance among three realms: the home, the workplace, and the realm of third places.
Yeah.
Inclusive social spaces that provide anchors for community life and facilitate meaningful interactions. Today, we will unravel the defining characteristics of a third place, tap into its historical significance and evolution, and explore how we can build and nurture the enduring allure of these social sanctuaries in the modern world.
There is actually a park in Manchester that has recently opened, and it is quite possibly one of the most surveilled third spaces that I have ever seen in my entire life. Like, it is a park, and I shit you not, chat, every 10 meters there is another 3 CCTV cameras. It's completely insane. It's so bad. It's even like, you know, they've got all these rules. They've got like big gates. It's not like regular gates where, like, you know, because like some parks have gates and you could just like jump over the gates and it's easy to get in and stuff. Like, it's not like that. It's like they got these massive fucking gates, and they have on like a sign. I'm gonna do a fucking video about it, basically. And I think I'm gonna talk a little bit about third places. I think I'm also gonna talk about the surveillance state, because it's like, you know, there are bad examples of third spaces and good examples of third spaces, and we have them in Manchester for sure. Which park is this, so I can avoid it? It's Mayfield Park. So if you've heard any of the like buzz about like, oh, it's the new freshly opened park in Manchester, and it's got loads of wild, you know, what do they call it? Wild flowers everywhere and shit like that. You know what I mean? And it's just the word. It's the most dystopian park I've ever seen in my entire life. I would actually say go and check it out, because if you like just walk around for a bit, you'll be like, holy shit, Mule's fucking right. Is it a public park? Does it have gates like a closed open? Why? Yeah, it's full of anti-homeless architecture. It's state oppression, basically. It's state oppression under the guise of like keeping you safe. You know what I mean? They also have security guards as well, by the way. I'm not even remotely scratching the surface of how dystopian this park is, by the way. It's just horrible. It's so vile. It's so vile. I still go there because it's like, it's pretty fucking close to where like I live. I probably shouldn't say that live on stream anyway. You won't fucking catch me there. I don't look anything like what I look like on stream in real life. But yeah, no, it's like, it's just so interesting, you know? Some of the parks in Manchester are gated to keep out homeless people at night, and it's awful. Oh yeah, it's really bad. Anyway, let's go back to the video.
Typically, people refer to cafes, pubs, stoops, and parks when thinking of examples.
Knew that beard was fake, right?
But of course, not every cafe, pub, stoop, or park captures the magic of a third place.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, Oldenburg identifies 8 primary characteristics that contribute to the distinct appeal of these truly communal spaces and the impact they have on the lives of those who frequent them. But furthermore, he insists that his strict characterization eliminates the majority of establishments, even if they fit some of the characteristics. Let's get into what they are now. For one, a third place lies on neutral ground. No one is expected to play host for the others, no one is obligated to be there, and people are comfortable and free to come and go as they please.
Mm-hmm.
We need spaces where people can just be, where opportunities can exist for fraternization in a safe public setting that can't be found in the privacy of the home or the professional boundary of the workplace. A space where a variety of relationships can blossom, including those that don't go any deeper than friendly public encounters. Secondly, the third place is a leveling place. It requires no formal criteria for membership, it places no emphasis on one's social status, and it provides the possibility for people of a variety of backgrounds and experiences to associate on the merits of their personality alone.
Right. This is why cafes and pubs aren't always third spaces, because if you get turfed out of those places because you aren't buying anything, then it's a controlled environment, right? There's a hierarchy immediately there. It's not neutral ground. Sock says, I think a big part of why people can't imagine an anti-capitalist future is the elimination of genuine third spaces. Capitalism absorbed everything between work and home, so when you suggest getting rid of capitalism, they don't think, oh, the third spaces will come back. They just think everything will disappear because I can't conceptualize having a place to spend time that doesn't make me pay £2 to take a step closer to heart and liver disease. Right, exactly. Yeah, I agree.
Within third places, people can find friendships with those whom under other circumstances they might never cross paths. The third characteristic of the third place is that it is a place in which conversation is meant to be the main activity. It doesn't have to be the only activity. For example, card games or pool or dominoes make for an excellent social lubricant. But the space should be comfortable enough to facilitate pleasurable, light-hearted, and entertaining conversation. Now, it's not difficult to create a space that can facilitate good conversation, but it's also easy to ruin the flow of good conversation. Even the most soothing music, if played too loudly, can make conversation too difficult to be worth it. And not to sound like a boomer, but what Ray Oldenburg calls mechanical or electronic gadgetry can also really kill good vibes.
Yep.
And of course, folks who try to dominate the discourse with their egos can be quite ruinous to the social energy that a good third place tries to foster.
Holy fucking shit, chat. The ego is not your amigo. Someone on the VOD channel, one of the regular commenters said, oh my god, I love ego is not your amigo. I'm pretty sure it wasn't Terence McKenna that actually said that, like that itself, but it's like a Terence McKenna meme that someone made, so I can't take credit for it. But Terence McKenna, he's like an old school, and he was an old school anthropologist. He did a lot of research into psychedelic mushrooms with his brother, Dennis McKenna. Yeah, very, very interesting stuff about the ego and how bad it is for you. And he also like speaks a lot about how like matriarchal or quote unquote feminized cultures were basically eliminated by overtly masculine dominator cultures, and that's why we don't have like a good knowledge of like plants and animals and stuff like that and how the world works. He was basically an anti-capitalist hippie guy from the 60s, 70s kind of thing. He spent like a lot of time in jungles in Africa just eating like random mushrooms to see what they would do to you, which is extremely dangerous, but he did do that with his brother. So there you go.
There's an art to conversation, and it really boils down to being attentive and considerate. Fourthly, third places need to be open and readily accessible.
Yeah.
That means being accessible in the sense of being in a convenient location and open whenever the demons of loneliness or boredom strike, or when the pressures and frustrations of the day call for relaxation amid good company. In other words, third places are available when people need them to be.
So not like fucking Cheers, right? You know, like the pub in Cheers. I think the pub in Cheers is called Cheers, actually. I'm not quite sure about that. But, you know, I was just thinking when he was saying that, like how vile the Cheers theme song is, because it kind of says all that stuff, but it's talking about like a bar, and it's like, you want to go where everybody knows your name when the pressure of the work has got too much and blah, 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 like all that, right? I don't know what the Cheers theme song is. Some people in my chat probably don't even fucking know what Cheers is, and to be honest, that's a good thing. I don't know if Cheers is a good show. I imagine it's really problematic, but you in terms of like the appropriation, the recuperation of that stuff under capitalism is just one of the most vile things of all time, right? It's like it tells you that the pub is the place to go, but you'll get kicked out if you're not fucking buying any booze, you know? Unless you're with a group of friends that are buying booze, you know?
Next, third places are given their appeal by their regulars, who help set the mood of the space and provide a welcoming environment for newcomers. Every regular was
No, not chairs, cheers.
The acceptance of newcomers is essential to the sustained vitality of the third place. However, as Oldenburg notes, there's an order of welcome to third places. The most welcomed is the returning prodigal, who was away for a while but has now returned to catch up with the other regulars. Next is the regular whose arrival was expected, followed by the regulars who bring a stranger, followed by a pair of strangers, and lastly,
yeah, that shit one he reads, yeah,
who faces the most difficult, though not impossible, task of building trust in order to endear themselves to the regulars of the space. Poor little mouse.
No.
All alone. But I'll let you in a little secret. Third places can seem a lot more closed off to newcomers than they might actually be. The mouse may not have to be alone after all. Sixth, third places keep a low profile. They're not excessive, extravagant, pretentious, or overly fancy. They're not usually openly advertised, and they tend to be older places. They're usually less inclined to the strictly profit-driven pursuit of a volume of transient customers with high turnover. They're rather modest, both in their design and the apparel of their regulars. In fact, third places often have a quote-unquote seedy atmosphere meant to repel the intrusions of one-time visitors. They're not meant to be tourist traps. Seventh, and we're almost done, third places have a playful mood. People go to third places for the banter and the laughter, not tension and hostility. So that's what the space is set up to encourage. And lastly, number 8, third places are meant to be a home away from home, offering a sense of intimacy, regeneration, and community that puts people at ease in a warm and friendly atmosphere. To summarize, third places exist on neutral ground, function as equalizers of social status, provide an environment where conversations are at the center, keep a low profile, are open and accommodating, have an essence shaped by their regulars, characterized by playfulness and a sense of home away from home.
Hell yeah.
With all these characteristics in mind, third places clearly offer a range of benefits that can delight and sustain both the individual, whose sociable and conversational skills are greatly enhanced by the interactions with the space, and the community.
I just want to point out, like, Andrewism uses a lot of Keith Haring drawings. And I didn't know this. I knew that he was a queer guy. But I guess, like, mini content warning for, like, AIDS and death associated with AIDS and the lack of support for queer people living with AIDS. Not even just queer people, just, like, you know, black, Latine communities living with AIDS and stuff. But Keith Haring did this absolutely haunting... I'm having an ADHD moment. Just bear with me. Keith Haring did an absolutely haunting piece of art because he actually died from AIDS, and I didn't know this. Let me see if I can find it. I think it's called Unfinished. Yeah. So it's really sad. Basically what he did... Oh, what's happening? Why did it do that? Okay. Really sad. Basically what he did... Oh, why are you giving me the fucking... It just won't let me not... Christ alive. I'm freaking out, chat. I fucking hate Reddit. He did this drawing, right? And he called it Unfinished, basically. It's actually a little bit bigger than this. It's actually just one corner of this, like, huge painting. But the reason he did that is because he knew that he was going to die from AIDS. And so he just left it unfinished like this. And, yeah, he started it, like, I don't know. I think it was in, like, 1988 or something. And then he died 7 months later. It is, like, so tragic. But, yeah, there you go. Anyway, the more you know. Haring's work was all over AIDS activism. Yeah, very fucking awesome. But yeah, he was unfortunately life cut short. One of the many fucking hundreds of thousands who died from AIDS.
Community, which thrives with a genuine connection, shared experiences, and sense of belonging fostered within third places. Third places can be rewarding places to attend because they introduce novelty into our lives, which is sorely lacking under the drudgerous working and living conditions of modern-day capitalism. With a diverse population, free-flowing structure, and fluid attendance, third places offer a novel and enriching source of social stimulation that exists almost in a world of its own. Our interactions with third places can give us a sense of perspective as well, in a world that can be otherwise alienating and disheartening to our emotions.
I know this artist's work. I'm pretty sure I've seen this before. Ernie Barnes. I love all the art that Andrea's uses. Ernie Barnes. Did he do... Did he do the art? I think I might be right. Cover art. Ernie Barnes. I knew it. I fucking knew it. This is one of my favorite albums, chat. It's called Uptown Saturday Night by Camp Low. I fucking love these guys. Really, really cool. Old school hip hop. But yeah, that's the cover of the album. As soon as I saw this artwork, I was like, I know who did that album cover now. Ernie Barnes. There you go. Buzzing. All right.
Emotional well-being because they offer a therapy of association and laughter. In fact, we can describe third places
I'm going to fucking listen to that album after the stream.
In the Drake sense, capable of uplifting our spirits from our daily frustrations and giving us the freedom to explore the creative and expressive aspects of our personalities. Crucially and finally, third places facilitate the benefits
Some more Ernie Barnes
calls friends by the set. Third places provide convenient gathering spaces for socializing in numbers and offer routine and reliable interactions with a broad array of people, both casual and intimate, without the burden of having to schedule meetups. With all the benefits that third places bring to individuals, groups, and communities, it's no surprise then that, historically, third places have been a powerful force in shaping the course of revolutions and cultural movements. During the American Revolution, the tavern emerged as a vital hub for political discourse, where patriots, politicians, and ordinary plebeians would gather to discuss grievances against British rule, plan resistance strategies, and spread propaganda, ultimately leading to the independence of the United States of America. Similarly, in the tumultuous times of the French Revolution, the café was a crucial meeting place for the revolutionary intelligentsia and common people alike, where radical ideas were passionately
I don't know that one when it reads.
to inspire the revolutionary rise of the French Republic. During the Enlightenment, coffee houses in London assumed a central role in fostering the intellectual and cultural transformation of society as scholars, scientists, writers, and artists met and exchanged ideas on science, philosophy, politics, and literature. During the Harlem Renaissance, theaters, churches, jazz cafes, and more all served as vital havens for African-American musicians, writers, and intellectuals that sought to develop and celebrate their cultural identity.
Buzzing.
In each of these historical movements, third places played a transformative role in fostering social cohesion, nurturing intellectual discourse, and giving rise to revolutionary ideas and movements that shaped the course of history. Unfortunately, third places kind of fell off. I've been describing the characteristics and benefits and historical potency of these spaces, but I've only gotten small tastes of some of these spaces myself. And for a lot of people, besides perhaps the approximate experience of a college common room, third places are a distant cultural memory, not a lived experience.
Yeah, it's like, I think like the most of third spaces that I've ever had, we had when I was I did like a year of sixth form before I quit. When I was in secondary school, and we had a common room, and that was obviously, as he says, like a third space, but again, not neutral ground, you know, it's not quite the same, so I don't think it is a third space, but like community centers that I've been to through doing activism and like knowing musicians and shit like that, I think that's the only experience of like legit third spaces that I've ever had. And it's crazy, like we've missed out on this like extremely vital thing. You know what I mean?
So what's up with that? What happened to third places?
Capitalism.
According to Oldenburg, the suburbs are primarily to blame for this
I bet it's capitalism.
Development.
Suburbs, yeah.
Neglect public spaces in favor of larger private rooms. By
Oh, is
very
that right,
isolating
Stalker? Oh my
design,
God.
They teach their residents that the good life exists within the limits of one's individual house and yard.
Right.
Community life is difficult to find in these tract developments, with designs made not organically by residents themselves, but by distant developers, where few places can be found to nurture friendships outside of perhaps one's most immediate neighbors. It's hard to find a justification for an introduction
Oh my God,
for people
Stalker.
even just a few houses down the street. A broken clock may be right twice a day, and just this once, British conservative Edmund Burke was spitting when he said that the bonds of community are broken at great peril, for they are not so easily replaced. Indeed, it's hard to even know where to begin sowing the seeds of a social community in the suburbs' rows of regimented loneliness. Their often car-centric design makes it even more difficult with third place.
It's just so horrible. It's like we get this like weird pastel view of suburbia and like how nice it is. It's like, oh, look at all how nice the houses look. So, oh, look at all the lawn space and everything like that. And it's like the more and more you learn about it, about how it's all about gentrification, it's all about segregation. It comes from like classism as well, like, you know, not just you know, relating to what I just said before, like it's not just like working class, but also social class identity. Horrible. Car-centric design might be the thing I hate the most about the US. Oh yeah, I hate it the most about the world. You know, like the dominance of cars, like how many cars like actually exist, and oh, it's so bad. Just fucking ban cars, just fuck them off unless you're like disabled and specifically need them to like get around or whatever, or like if we can like make it so that public transport is way more accessible to disabled people, like, oh, it's just so bad. Fucking hate
to
cars.
develop anew. As people rely more on cars for transportation, they're less likely to encounter informal gathering places in their daily routes, less likely to cross paths face to face with the people who live around them. The sprawl of many newer urban developments has resulted in the loss of vibrant neighborhoods with active community spaces, and the laws put in place to create those urban environments make it difficult to establish new potential third places.
Big car push
There's
killed
more
off
to the
trams. Are we
decline of
continuing
third places than just
to
the
be angry
rise
about
of
that? Yeah.
suburbs, though. As a whole, many of our urban
Trams are
environments
dead
have
good.
been designed to prioritize efficiency and profit.
Yeah,
over
lawns are
creating real
super bad.
spaces for
Super
human
bad.
connection. The rise of franchise chains has led to the standardization and homogenization of spaces which lack the character and uniqueness that would encourage people to gather and interact. Or should I say loiter? Again, not to sound like a boomer, but today's tech hasn't exactly facilitated the survival of physical third places either. Having the internet at our fingertips has made it an easy substitute for real-life social interaction, encouraging people to stay home rather than seeking out communal spaces.
Right.
At the same time, though...
And also, like, the third spaces that do exist on the internet becoming increasingly commodified and membership-based, you know? I hold one of those fake third spaces myself. It's called my Patreon. You can't really be in there unless you're giving me money. It's so bad.
At least the internet is free. And in this economy, with diminishing alternatives for spending leisure time without spending money, I can't blame folks for wanting to save their pockets and stay inside. Now, Wollenberg doesn't call it out directly, but I will. Capitalism, in particular, bears some blame for the fall of third places and the rising sea of city mediocrity. It is responsible for the work-life imbalances that leave folks with limited time and energy to engage in social activities outside of work, the ever-expanding commercialization of our lives, the privatization of public spaces, the gentrification resulting in the closure of traditional third places, and the profit-seeking design choices.
Right, Steph. I think, I think that all the time now. I think that all the time. Since I've started doing any kind of like at-home gardening and indoor plant stuff and all that shit, every time I see like a bunch of grass, I'm like, cringe. Absolutely cringe. What's going on there? The only time this doesn't happen to me is when it's full of kids playing games or people relaxing, but yeah. But I mean, like, at the end of the day, you can have like a playground for that stuff. And you can have like, you know, little bits of places where people are relaxing, and that's fine, and it's incorporated into, you know, plants and wildlife and all that shit. Like, that's so important, you know?
To create these sterile and lifeless urban environments.
I do get what you mean, though.
Trey, is that you? Damn, it's been...
Yeah, I do agree, Sorka. Yeah, the death of third spaces started before the internet took over. But again, I don't know if he's saying that. Is he actually saying it's just because of the internet? I don't think he's saying that. I think he is saying, like, the commodification. Like, he did mention, like, a bunch of other stuff when he was talking about this. He was talking about suburbia, and he was talking about cars and shit like that. I think the internet was just, like, different thing, you know what I mean?
Years.
Oh, hey Lou. Yeah, it's been a while since college. Yo, what's up with this place?
Oh, this place? Welcome to the grand opening of Le Third Place. Well, it's opening anyway. It hasn't been too grand so far.
Yeah, I see that. I don't know you had all this going on. I just came to deliver some Papa John's, and it took me like 10 minutes to find parking.
Father Jonathan's Pizza.
Bed Bath & Beyond Best Buy Superstore next door.
Yeah, I heard about that. They're probably stealing all my customers with their buy one, get one Beats and Bath Bomb package.
Actually, it might have something to do with your bounce outside. He's not very friendly.
You mean Lucius? Man, he's here to protect the space. Our priority is to make a safe environment, you know?
Yeah, but bro tried to dress code me until he realized I was delivering your food, and apparently you have like a membership fee for this place.
Of course. That's just to help cover the bottle service. And more importantly, the bottle women, when we get them.
Yeah, this place seems fancy as all hell. But yo, can you like low down the volume? It's way too loud in here.
Yeah. Let's step outside. We close in 5 minutes anyway.
What? But it's like 3:55. Aren't people now getting off work?
Yes, including me.
Okay. You know what? Never mind. Just here's your order.
Appreciate it, man. I just don't understand why the third place hasn't become a thriving social center for the community already.
So, like, in case you're not getting what he's talking about here, he's like criticizing the sort of hipster, gentrified version of third spaces, right? Which happens all the fucking time. All the fucking time. We've got the lights, we've got the furniture, we've got the zillennial vibe, all that kind of stuff. It's absolutely spot on. Like, there are hipster joints that are popping up all over the place, and they aid gentrification so much in basically locking them off to only people who can afford it. You know? Sorry, locking them off to people who can't afford it.
We have everything. The lights, the furniture, a zillennial vibe.
Listen, I'm in love with you. The place is too fancy and stuffy.
Obviously, they don't look like this, but they look like, you know, I don't know how to describe it. If you've been in one, you've been in one. If you've been in one, you've been in one. And it's just like, they try and make it seem like cool and fancy, and they'll give you like your food on gross plates that are like made out of tin and shit like that, and maybe your drink will be in like a mason jar, so it like seems poor, but it's actually not. Like really expensive to be in there. It's the most annoying shit in the fucking world.
There's a classist douchebag. Bauhaus chairs look uncomfortable. You're blaring classical
that sounds
music
horrible,
way too
Sorka.
loud at 3 p.m. And your staff is wearing tuxedos in 32-degree weather. Nobody's gonna wanna hang
MMU
out
Student
here.
Union does that? Yeah, for sure.
First of all, that blaring music you're referring to is
Definitely
the great
Crystal,
Creole
yeah.
composer Joseph Boulogne, Chevalier de St. George's, and you will respect his name as such.
Whatever, man. Honestly, the only characteristic of third places you got right is that nobody's obligated to be here. Which is why nobody's here.
But you're here.
And I regret it. Just enjoy your food, man.
Damn. Well, just so you know, I can't tip right now, but I can give you a 10% discount.
Yeah, I'm out of here. The concept of third places has picked up in popularity as of recently because, for many, the loss of third places has been a major L for the human race.
Yep.
However, in those conversations of folks yearning for third
A place just opened here that sells a $15 hot dog. Oh my god. I did not need to know that. I did not need to know that. Fuck my life. I hate that shit so bad. $15 hot dog. How are they justifying that? The bread costs a penny to make. And the hot dog, don't even talk to me about what that's made of. You know? Your uni doesn't have a student union? Oh, soccer, that fucking sucks. That sucks so bad. I'm sorry to hear that. Anyway.
Places. I think there's some teensy tiny critiques of the concept and of the book that I haven't yet seen addressed. So like, going back to the concept of 3 realms, right? Uhlenberg gives the impression that these realms are ranked in a particular order, like they're literally first, second, and third in importance. As he argues, we need a home even though we may not work, and most of us need to work more than we need to gather with our friends and neighbors. First of all, I think this argument glosses over domestic labor entirely.
Of course it does.
Not treating it as real work, which is unfortunately to be expected at this point.
Right.
And otherwise, I still disagree with the sentiment. As I believe in our society making a post-work shift, I don't really rock with the idea of work as we understand it today.
It's completely made in-house from high-quality meat. Yeah, but like, they say high-quality meat, but who's rating the meat? Who's rating the meat? Is it the people who sell the meat? Because of course they'll call it high-quality meat. Also, what is high-quality meat? Like, what is that? Like, how is one cow different to another? I don't understand it. Or whatever, like a pig. You know what I mean? Like, like, how are they different? Like, I understand, like, one might be fed fucking candy or some shit, or one might be fed grass or organic or something like that. Like, okay, I get that. But the long and short of it is, I guarantee it's not going to taste any different. I'm fucking telling you right now. And also, yeah, if it's high quality, why is it in a hot dog? Insane. Yeah, and that's another thing. Like, you know, a lot of like hot dog meat is actually like not from a pig. It's from like other animals, like all like leftover bits from other animals and shit. For fun, I guess. So bad.
A place of primacy over life-affirming social interaction. I'd rather rank our homes, our workplaces, and our community spaces equally than place work above social life.
I agree.
So Oldenburg further argues that typically the individual spends more time at home than at work, and more at work than in a third place. Thus, in importance, in claims on time and loyalty, in space allocated, and in social recognition, the ranking is appropriate. So I would take it a step further and argue that labor and leisure, both alone and in company, can and should exist far more flexibly than the strict separations and ranking of these 3 realms seems to allow. Maybe we should entirely upturn the boundaries between these realms and aim to transcend them.
Yeah!
We kind of saw a primordial form of that transcendence pre-industrialization, when first and second places were usually one and the same. And now we're kind of seeing it again post-industrialization and post-pandemic, where once again people are working from home and living where they work. But I've somewhat unpacked this idea of evolving our approach to labor and leisure before, so you can check out my video on work for more thoughts along these lines. While mixed third places have existed and do currently exist, third places have historically been either male-dominated or gender-segregated.
Yep.
One major issue with Oldenburg's book is that there's a clear bias towards the third places of white men and a rather old-fashioned view on gender relations that crosses the border on sexist.
Right.
As he acknowledges, women's access to third places has been historically limited due to their relegation to domestic duties, their limited finances, the male domination of existing third places, and a culture that stigmatized women socializing outside the home. But in his myopic nostalgia, he doesn't truly grapple with the implications of that history, nor its ongoing effects today. Of course, women developed alternative forms of association, such as women's clubs, neighborhood networks, and tennis clubs, but they still missed out on some of the great benefits of third places. If women are to be included in the third places of the future, the obstacles that stand in the way of them doing so, such as the double shift many wives and mothers need to take on to balance both their jobs and domestic duties, really need to be addressed. I want to turn now to another angle of critique. The question of who owns and controls the third place.
Right.
Though third places are meant to be on neutral ground, that doesn't change the fact that many of them still exist at the behest of private owners or state bureaucrats.
Yep.
Hence why many third places have been lost or corrupted simply due to the pressures of the profit motive. Our essential social spaces should not exist at their mercy. To me, we had to run things. Which brings us to the cost barrier that exists in many third places, encumbering their aim to be open and readily accessible. No matter how affordable a cafe or a bar may be, not everyone can sustain spending money every time they want to engage socially in such a setting. Especially when we're told to cut quote-unquote frivolous expenses to survive under capitalism. Oh, and speaking of bars, I find it a little troubling that one of the primary examples of the third place is the bar. Because the culture of alcohol consumption is something I've been interrogating in my personal life recently.
Yep.
I'm not against the consumption of alcohol, but besides the obvious health concerns and long-term depressant effects, I do want us to question how potentially exclusionary it may be for the primary or only available third places to be social drinking places.
He is spot on, chat. I've spoken about this before, haven't I? Where it's like, oh, okay, the one place where we are encouraged to like come together and communally talk to each other is a place where you could probably, potentially, highly likely develop a crippling addiction, which is a health problem, isn't it? You know what I mean? I've been saying it for years. It's a travesty that the entire gay village in Manchester is basically exclusively bars. Right. And why do you think it's that? You know? And Sackville Gardens, yeah, which is like a park next to that, it's fucking where a load of drinkers go to drink all the time. There's only a couple of places which aren't bars and they sell alcohol anyway. Right, exactly. I want late night libraries with no cover charge. Right, yeah. I mean, that's not technically a third space because the thing that you do at a third space is you read. You get books and you read. But I do get that. Like, there's still value to that. 100%. But, you know, you go to a bar to fraternize with people, don't you, right? But the impetus is on buying alcohol. Not to mention the encouragement of heavy drinking in these environments means they become somewhat dangerous as heavy alcohol consumption can lead to erratic and violent behavior. Yeah, that too. Not to mention sexual harassment, you know, sexual assault, like all that stuff. Like I was literally walking past a pub last night after the stream and there was a girl and she was dressed, you know, in a way that would make men, you know, sort of like, well, it's not, I don't want to say this because it's not right. It's not right, is it? They don't dress like that. That doesn't make men do that. But men see it as an excuse to, like, you know, she's just dressed, like, in a way. Do you know what I mean? Like, this is the fucked up thing, chat. This is the fucked up thing. I was, like, so mad at this guy. And he was, like, literally just going, bitch! And, like, you know, yeah, men will harass a woman dressed anyway. Do you know what I mean? But he felt, like, empowered to do that. Anyway, I think more so than like, I don't know. Anyway, whatever. I think that like it's wrong in general that like we say that women should dress a certain way. But basically, he definitely just felt empowered because of his position as a man in society, right? And he literally was like, you know, it's like fucking, it was just so bad. He was like calling her a bitch and going, oi, oi, and shit like that. And all I had to do, chat, was look at him. It was dead easy. I just fucking looked at him and scowled at him. And he clocked me. And I guess I do look a little bit intimidating with the bald head and the beard. You know what I mean? So, and maybe the chain. I don't fucking know. And I guess I dress a bit like a mosher or like a heavy metal fan. So I think he shot himself a little bit. But he shut up rapid. And all I had to do was look at him, innit? So anyway, but that was a pub. And he was drinking and all of his mates were drinking, you know. I walked back past that same pub only a few minutes later. And, you know, they were all obviously like doing shots and getting super pissed and stuff like that. It's just really bad. Just really, really bad. Anyway, I think that like that stuff will happen without people drinking. But I think you're right. The increased likelihood of that happening is definitely attributed to alcohol. 100%. You know? Anyway, it's really, really, really bad. So yeah, I agree. And I just think alcohol in general is just so bad for everybody. You know what I mean? No organizing gets done when people are drunk. That's a fact. Yeah? If the only third spaces incur fear and make people walk home holding their keys, then third spaces are shit. Yeah, I agree.
When there exist people who are not interested in drinking alcohol, or maybe recovering alcoholics, or for whatever reason, just prefer sober social interaction. And now on the flip side, there's the argument made by Oldenburg that third places are not meant to appeal to everybody anyway. Quote, the third place is not a universal remedy for all social and personal ills, nor will the kind of association it offers appeal to everyone.
Well, I think that is silly.
Just facts, third places should not be viewed as the be-all and end-all of a healthy social human life. Not everyone finds places like cafes or bars appealing. That's fine. Some have proposed that the virtual then could take the place of the physical third place. I disagree. I am not beating the boomer allegations, but I can see how virtual spaces like Discord, for example, have the potential to fit the characteristics of third places because they can exist on neutral ground, level the playing field, facilitate conversation, be accessible, maintain a culture of
That's all right,
regulars,
Stalker, no
keep a low
worries.
profile, develop a playful mood, and create a sort of online home base. I can't rock with the idea that they're a complete substitute.
No, I agree.
I believe virtual
I
third
agree.
places lack the tangible aspects present in traditional spaces that I think are necessary for developing the depth of emotional connection and empathy needed for healthy community life. As we've seen across social media networks, but especially on sites like Twitter, or rather X, online interactions often lack the authenticity and nuance found in real-life exchanges because it's just all too easy to
Struggle to
misunderstand.
speak at a volume most other people can hear it
unintentionally
at
or
most bars
otherwise,
too. Right,
what
yeah,
people are trying to
definitely.
communicate.
I
Or
agree.
worse, hide behind anonymity to engage in cyberbullying, trolling, and online harassment.
Yep.
The permanence
That's
of the
right as
internet
well,
can
Steph,
be another
yeah.
obstacle to the kind of easygoing vulnerability found in more traditional spaces, as literally everything is recorded and trust is all too easily breached. But despite my
Third
criticism,
spaces can be too loud for me. Yeah, that's he was talking about that in terms of accessibility, you know what I mean?
I'm not blind to the benefits of so-called virtual third places. They can be more accessible than places IRL for the immunocompromised or the disabled, and they break geographical barriers, bringing people together across diverse backgrounds and locations with shared interests, passions, and identities to connect and engage without the limitations of physical distance. And unlike real-life third places, virtual third places are available 24/7 and flexible enough to accommodate each user's lifestyle and pace. Lastly, and just as a fun thought experiment, it's interesting to think about what other realms might potentially exist. Is there perhaps a fourth place? Some academics have argued that the combination of elements of the first, second, and third place implies the emergence of the fourth place. To me, that feels a bit uncreative, but sure. When I asked my partner what she thought a fourth or fifth place might be though, she said the beach. And I'm more inclined to agree, or maybe even take it a step further, and propose that the fifth and rather liminal space of a holiday abroad can more broadly encapsulate the feeling of freedom found outside of the realms of the first, second, and third place.
True.
Food for thought. I'm basically done talking about the book at this point. To me, the book was too long, too outdated, and too sexist to be of use beyond its initial ideas. There are other nitpicks to be made, critiques I've left out, and issues folks will no doubt raise to address in the comments. For example, I have mentioned the dimension of childhood and third places.
Right.
Nor have I discussed third places in the context of rural environments. I leave that discussion to the comments, or perhaps future videos. For now, I'd like to push the conversation past the book, past Oldenburg, and speculate about how we can potentially radicalize the concept of third places. Rather than merely existing on neutral ground, yet still at the mercy of the whims of private capital or state initiative, I think radical third places would exist on collective ground, where people are still free to come and go as they please, but as co-owners, they're also able to invest as much time, energy, and resources as they're willing to support the survival of such spaces. Although third places are typically light-hearted in their atmosphere, they still have a role to play in moving and shaking the future. They can still contribute to social revolutions. They can operate as places to decompress, as muster points for union activity, as spaces for networks to form, and even as hubs for fostering mutual aid and centers of a library economy. Rather than merely leveling the playing field, I think a radical third place would empower us to confront the socioeconomic hierarchies that exist outside of them.
I agree.
Radical third places would not only be accessible in terms of location and opening hours, but also in terms of creating basic accommodations for the spectrum of abilities of its participants. In fact, The mood and culture set by the regulars of Radical Third Places will be notable for its wide-ranging inclusivity. Oldenburg waxes poetic with nostalgia for the traditional, overwhelmingly white and male third places.
All the reason that the state doesn't want third spaces,
fascinating
right?
to
Exactly.
see how third places will manifest with the inclusion of a broader spectrum of perspectives. Finally, radical third places will not only be a home away from home, but also perhaps a home below the home, being incorporated into mixed-use buildings and neighborhoods, readily available for those living in nearby co-housing arrangements. How can we build a radical third place?
I think community
Perhaps
gardens
we
is
can
a
take a page
huge
out of
one.
the book
Yeah.
of the Rote Flora in Hamburg, Germany. Originally a theatre, in 1989, the then abandoned building was occupied by squatters and activists who transformed it into a political and cultural centre. Over the years, the Rote Flora has become a symbol of vibrant resistance against gentrification, capitalist urban development, and social injustice. And also just as a space for artistic expression and the exchange of ideas. Squatting is a risky and precarious means of securing third places, but it's just one among many approaches we can take to make the change we want to see in our communities.
Hell yeah.
If we want to see change, we need to organize and either demand it or implement it ourselves. Rather than waiting on the traditional top-down planning of architects and urban planners, we can try to rally our neighbors to get actively involved in those decision-making processes to co-determine how our public spaces should look, feel, and operate. Reformist approaches can have their place as long as they're not our primary means of social struggle. So yeah, we can push for changes to zoning laws that promote walkable mixed-use neighborhoods. We can push for relaxations of certain municipal ordinances that demand excessive space for parking. We can push for more convenient and more robust public transportation, as long as we don't lose sight of the long-term aim of developing the powers, drives, and consciousness of we the people to manage our own lives, our own places, and our own communities. I touch more on that in my social revolution video. It would be a tad dramatic to argue.
I just had a thought, a neoliberal idea of a third space would be the man cave. No, because neoliberalism is like privatize everything, right? So the neoliberal idea of the third space is just like the stuff that we have now. So like cafes, pubs, restaurants. That is the neoliberal idea. I think what you're thinking is a misogynist, conservative idea of a third space. Because it isn't even technically a third space because it's at home, isn't it? You can relax at your man cave when you're at home. I think it's just more of a misogynist thing.
The decline of third places and its consequences has been a disaster for the human race. But until we recognize the power of our physical environments in shaping our lives and experiences, better yet, until we recognize our power to actively create and shape our physical environments, we will continue to suffer with the paucity
No
of
worries,
our
Emmy.
current
Thanks for being
social
here.
urban life. All power to all the people. Peace.
Hell yeah. Thanks
for watching.
Andrew.
Please like, comment,
We love
subscribe,
him.
and share with your fellow peoples. Thanks again, of course, to the family.
We love him. Hey Gubernaut, how you doing? Maybe not Munich Ratskellers. What's that? I don't even know what that is. For some reason, I was thinking about old sitcoms, and that idea of the separate space came up. Yeah, but it's still at your home, and it's only really like it's a misogynist thing, isn't it? You know what I mean? That's all it is. That's all it is. That's all it is. That's all. Chat, listen, it's late. It's late here, and I'm getting tired, and I know that it's not like as long a stream as normal, but I did start kind of late for various reasons. I was working on editing today, so I really apologize if you're just getting here or if you were expecting like a longer stream. But don't worry, just because you have to go home doesn't mean you can't go out and have more fun in a different online third space. So I am going to go ahead and raid someone. Don't you worry about that. But thank you so much, everybody, for being here today. Thank you for all the donos. Thank you for the follows. Thank you for just hanging out and having a nice time, lurking, chatting, all that stuff. What else do I need to say at the end of the stream? I don't know, but I've got to pick someone to raid. So like, just give me a hot min. Excuse me while I do that. We're gonna go raid David Tovarish. I don't know if that's how you say his name, but he's a guy that I've recently discovered. He's a political streamer. He's just like me. If you like my stream, you like my politics, you'll enjoy his stream. You'll enjoy his politics. I'm pretty sure he's gonna like. He's not like. Wait, he's not ending the stream, is he? He has been live for like 6 hours, so I don't know. But anyway, we're gonna raid him anyway and see. But yeah, I'll be back. This is the last stream for this month. Not this month. Oh my god, imagine. This is the last stream for this week. So I will see you all on Red Planet next Sunday coming. Yeah, so this Sunday coming, not next Sunday. Sorry, I'm fucking everything up. I'm fucking absolutely everything up. I'm tired. Just give me a break. Yeah, give me a break. I'm doing okay, right? Fucking hell. I'm gonna go and have a pizza now. I'm gonna go and do some more editing and shit like that. But yeah, thank you everybody for being here. If you are a VOD watcher, please like, comment, share, and subscribe if you haven't already. Really, really, really appreciate all the love on the VOD channel. And don't forget, if you can't handle a couple of days without me, you can check out my other socials. I got Blue Sky, I got Instagram, I got YouTube, I got Patreon, I got a VOD channel as I just mentioned, and I got my TikTok. I am going to be releasing some exclusive an exclusive movie review bit of content on my Patreon very, very soon. So check out that. Get on to the Possum tier to get access to that unique exclusive content. But other than that, I'll see you next time. Mwah. Stay excellent to each other. Peace, 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 peace. Good night, good night, good night, good night.